Hey, this is Benjamin Nelson, your Season 7 WSSR Cup champion. I'd like to give a thanks to Roasted Gems Coffee, Trophy Smack, all the admins at WSSR, Snowy Desert Racing, everybody that tunes in to the Freaky Fast broadcast every week, including my family and friends, co-workers as well. And I am so honored to be able to hoist this beautiful trophy. I've never been more proud to be a champion.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Wednesday night. The drivers are prepared for tonight's running of the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series Season 8, race number 3, about to be underway here tonight. It's going to be a good one as the drivers get prepared to head to New Hampshire. As the drivers recognize, this is going to be one of the toughest tasks. This track has only been ran 2 times in the past, and it was back in Season 2 and Season 6 where there were plenty of cautions that were going on in those races. Drivers recognize tonight could be a wreck fest, but it also has that high possibility of long green flag runs if we can get spaced out. We'll see if the drivers can hold on for tonight's race, as this vehicle has been noted on being very difficult this evening. Can't wait to show you all the racing action here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up the boot is going to be Justin Malarkey. And Justin, I heard you got to test out this car. It seems like it's going to be a tough one here this evening.
Oh yes, welcome viewers. I was out there. These cars have power, they fly down the straightaways, and they do not stop as fast as the newer cars. It's going to be a really fun race. Can't wait to bring it here to you live on Freaky Fast.
It's going to be a great one for these drivers, as they are expected to run 150 laps this evening. There will be a competition caution at the end of lap 40. No fast repairs, 5 sets of tires in pit road to work with. But they have all coming down to this. 3rd race of the season last week was a good one, as the drivers got to tackle Texas for themselves for their 2nd race. And one of those races that you didn't know what was going to happen. A lot of wrecks happened early on, got some good green flag runs, and ultimately it came down to fuel mileage, where Nick Crawford became our 2nd different winner of the season, joining in with our Daytona winner. That is going to be Brian P. Johnson. Well, practice is over. Qualifying about to be underway, where the drivers are given 5 minutes to put down their fastest time, but only 2 laps will count, and that's going to be their first 2. Justin, based off the history, last 2 races have been ran here back in Season 2 and Season 6. The driver that got the pole also led the most laps and won the race. I would say qualifying might be the most key thing of this evening.
Yeah, qualifying will be super important. You're also going to get that #1 pit stall, which is very important, especially at a track like this, which we expect it to be hard to pass. We know it's low banked. We know it's hard to get under cars and hold that throttle down and be able to hook up the 900 some horsepower in these cars. As we see qualifying going on right here, we got the 98 out of Ben Kinney. He's got the first lap going, Sam.
Yeah, Ben Kinney got to be a driver to watch out for this evening, trying to get one of his better finishes and just survive tonight. It's had been a rough 2 races to start the season off, and today is going to be even a rough start for the 98. 1 of 5 drivers hit with an L1 penalty. Given to the drivers an L1 penalty is when the drivers can qualify, but they have an end-of-the-line penalty to start this race. So the 98's hoping to get a good pit box by qualifying well, but we'll have to start at the end of the line. There's a couple of other drivers also that are going to have to start at the end of the line. Benjamin Nelson's going to be one of those drivers as well, who also is looking mighty fast this evening, as well as Ali Fonseca, Jason Tamer, and James Kaufman all hit with an L1 penalty for themselves, as the 98 coming out of the exit of turn 4, and you can already see the power being put down. A lot of sliding. For some drivers, that's a good thing to be seen. Others, they hate to see that sliding action, as lap #1 was a decent one for Ben Keeney, but instead tonight it's going to be 12th fastest. It's the slowest of our timed drivers so far.
And we see Zachary Hall there, got second. And now we're going on to the 77 of Brian Noel. He's currently 14th on a 15-second lap halfway down the back straightaway. Getting on that heavy braking point that we're talking about. These cars are going to be super fast down these straightaways with all that speed, and going to get that car to rotate. And right in that middle of the corner, you want to be able to rotate and without those tires spinning too much, because you don't want to get loose coming out of the corner, do you, Sam?
Absolutely not. Want to keep this thing as straight and pointed straight as soon as possible to maximize that speed. 77 of Noel, 11th fastest after their time is done. 38, Christopher Norris, first lap, going to be 10th fastest on the board with a 29.625. We'll see if there's going to be quick enough to try to beat the pole sitter, which is Benjamin Nelson. Take that back. It's now Shane Tarian in the 9 machine that just took the pole as it pops up on screen. But Christopher Norris, known for the short tracks, road courses, being a specialty for the 38 machine. And hoping tonight, maybe find that specialty here at the mile course of New Hampshire. And across the line, 12th after that first lap. Across the line for the second, not going to be quick enough to advance forward. And that's going to be the interesting thing watching is drivers finding that better speed on the second lap and others maximizing their speed on the first lap.
Yeah, as the tires heat up, we're definitely going to get a little bit more grip out of them. That's going to be the game plan tonight. I think you don't want to heat them up too much, because once you heat them to a certain braking point, they're just going to lose grip and slide more, which will then heat them up even more. But Sam, we saw Shane take the pole there. At one point, Benjamin was on the pole, and we know he's not going to be able to start first, so he's going to have to still work his way through the field. But we did mention how the 2 pole sitters led the most laps, so it would have been interesting if Benjamin did get that pole, because how would he be able to lead the most laps having to start from the rear? You think he'd be able to do that?
I mean, it would have been a lot of work. Competition caution at the end of lap 40 may help for that of Benjamin Nelson and others that start deeper in the field, as now get to see the 22, Joshua Corner, is going to be trying to put down their first lap. 22 didn't feel too comfortable during practice, trying to find some of that extra speed. There's a major speed difference from some of our top drivers from practice to those that were kind of in the middle of the field. There's a good about half a second difference between the field as they're going to be trying to maximize their speed. Another driver that has an end of the line penalty or a 1 given to them, that of James Kaufman, going to be starting with their first lap of qualifying. Kaufman has been struggling on trying to stay out of trouble, and like you said earlier, hard braking is going to be a tough thing here tonight, especially on the fact that these cars do not want to slow down, as Kaufman's first lap going to be a 29.954 expected time. That's going to be good enough for 30th currently for James Kaufman, but qualifying's about to be over, and Kaufman's going to run out of time for himself. Justin, it looks to be Shane Tarian taking that pole time with a 29.394.
Yeah, it's going to put Shane on the front row, and then joining him would be Zach Hall in 4th, because we do have to notate that Benjamin will be moving back. So I'm assuming that it should work with the leader taking the inside. The row would just move up, and should put Zachary Hall up to the top.
Expecting Zach to be moving forward, as a lot of shifting is going to happen for these drivers, and have already been noted, hey, because of all the penalties, and will allow us to go through the grid, these drivers are going to have an extra lap of pacing before we get ourselves to racing action, as well as they're going to have a warm-up time to kind of get some more practice time for themselves. I think this is probably the best thing about this season, is having this extra 5 minutes of warm-up time, but it also allows us to take a look at tonight's starting grid for these drivers, having Shane Tarian up front with that pole award, as well as Benjamin Nelson up front. This is what your top 10 drivers are looking like. Benjamin Nelson going to be sending to the end of the line. Big hurt for himself, but seeing some drivers that are hoping for some good runs. I'm excited to see what Ryan McCann is starting in 6th place. Just got himself a championship last night on our coverage of the Full Send Racing Series, trying to carry that momentum for himself. And Isaiah Sutherland, coming off of a frozen computer, he's starting in 5th place. Was missed out last week's Texas race, but watch out for the 14. Could be a very sneaky, quick driver here this evening. As warm-ups underway, let's take a look at our standings for these drivers, though, and see where they really are all set up after last week's race at Texas. Daytona and Texas are in the books, and currently it's Brian P. Johnson having the points lead with his win, automatically locked into the playoffs. Nick Crawford winning last week pushes him into that top spot, but Douglas Newbigging, Ryan Kelly, Larry Yingling, strong drivers as well, and the rookie of Johnny Brugg in 6th place in points, just 13 points off the leader, but it's the cutoff line where it's all the matter of where drivers are at, if they're going to make the playoffs or not. It's a little bit too early, Justin, but it's Danny Cochran on the cutoff line with Chris Stitz right behind them.
Yeah, it's early, but when you look back at it on that cutoff race and you say, wow, if I could have got 1 point here, 1 point there, maybe gain a couple positions here, let a lap, you start doing the math and you just want to feel safe going into that final race, because this is a league where we might see 5, 6, 7 different winners. We know they're out there. We talk about how the strength of the field is very top level here. If we get 6, 7 winners, points are gonna matter. Points are gonna be really important, even for someone who might feel safe going into the final run. If something happens and there's 40 drivers out there, there's a lot of points to lose. So right now it's pretty important, Sam. What are you thinking?
Especially, I mean, you look from 16th back to 30th, that was just a 17-point difference. You can gain a lot here tonight as well in future races for these drivers. It's going to be a good one to watch overall as we have 2 minutes left in practice. But, you know, Justin, you talk about the track. It's how difficult it's going to be. These drivers trying to go through the corners, but New Hampshire, a very flat surface. They're going to be staying side by side on these initial start. I'm just curious on how they're going to be able to survive on this initial start before they can try to get spread out to have some green flag runs.
Yeah, so to inform the viewers, we mentioned how this track is really flat, and what that requires of the driver is a lot more braking to get the car to slow down. You don't have the banking going into the corner for the car to be able to load and turn and twist through the corner with more stability, so you have to slow it down more. And then you mentioned about there being a half a second difference from maybe some of the top 10, 15 drivers maybe in the back. And you might be thinking, well, it's a half a second. But when you add up a half a second over the course of 10 laps, 20, 30 laps, you could be 10, 15 seconds behind, which is half of the track when we're running 29 to 31 second laps. And before you know it, the leader could be getting into lap traffic, which could bring a whole nother curveball to everything.
Lap traffic, especially at short tracks, was always a fun dynamic to watch. At a mile course, it makes it even more interesting on how lap cars try to get out of the way or not. As we're in the final minute of warm-up time, do want to give a huge shout out to our amazing sponsors, just to give them their first shout out of the night. Starting things off with our title sponsor for the WSSR, Roasted Gems Coffee. Roasted Gems Coffee has been the title sponsor of the WSSR Cup Series for the last couple of seasons, and it is some great premium coffee to start your day off right. I believe they also are having a nice little merch giveaway currently over at Roasted Gems Coffee. Go on over to roastedgemscoffee.com and go check out their giveaway, and when you're checking out their wide range of variety coffees, the ones to get, remember to use the promo code WSSR for 5% off. And our trophy sponsor, you saw it at the top of the broadcast, Benjamin Nelson raising his Season 7 championship trophy. Well, if you'd like a trophy like that, belt, ring, and more, head on over to TrophySmack.com and remember to use the promo code WSSRSmack for 10% off on all purchases at Trophy Smack. Thank you so much for being our two major sponsors here at the WSSR Cup Series. As warm-up is coming to a conclusion, let's do an actual full rundown of where the drivers are starting off here tonight. 37 drivers going to be starting here this evening. It's going to be a long race of 150 laps. Taking the pole is Shane Terrian in the 9 machine. Benjamin Nelson going to be on the outside row in the 79, but he does have a penalty. Let's start at the end of the line is Benjamin Nelson. Douglas Newbigging is going to be starting in 3rd. Zach Hall 4th. Isaiah Sutherland will start in 5th place with Brian McCann in 6th. Cedric Hunter 7th. Larry Yingling, who is a past winner at this race, going to be starting back in 8th place with Anthony Gaudio in 9th, and finishing out our top 10, it's Edward Schroer Jr. in the 71.
And rolling off 11th, Johnny Brugg in the number 20, followed by Cody Reed, starting next to him. We got in 13th and 14th, Danny Cochran, and then we got 14th, Brandon Colley. We got to always give the shout out to his mom. And then going 15th, Christopher Norris, 16th, Brian P. Johnson, 17th to 77 of Brian Noel, Ryan Kelly, 18th, 19th, Chris Stitz, and 20th, Mason Cassidy.
Then in 21st position, it's the 21 car of Ross Tatum. Kyle Heath's going to be in 22nd position. James Heater in 23rd, with Brad Delph going to be in 24th place for the 6th machine. Ollie Fonseca, another driver's got to start at the end of the line, going to be in 25th, but showed some promising speed in practice. Watch out for that 24, that of Nicholas Coressel, going to be in 26th in the 45. In the 44 machine, it's Nick Alves in 27th, Dakota Moniz in 28th. For the 5 machine, 29th, Justice Murphy, and James Kaufman also starting at the end of the line, going to be finishing out our top 30.
Rolling off 31st is going to be Joshua Corner, who we saw in qualifying earlier. 32nd, going to be Richard Wolfsire. 33rd, Ben Kinney. 34th, Cameron Starton. 35th and 36th are going to be Trevor Earhart and Michael Bennett. And rolling off 37th is going to be Tyler Denger.
And Tyler Dangler actually just showed up right when warm-up started. He just made it in with just a fair margin of making it in. He was about 2 to 3 seconds from missing out on tonight's race in the 19. Not a lot of practice, but we'll see how he runs. You saw drivers fading to the back. Those are the drivers with penalties here this evening that showed up. James Kaufman, Ben Keeney, Ollie Fonseca, and Benjamin Nelson. If Jason Tamer does return back, the 81 will carry his L1 to that race. But up front, Shane Terrian going to be that front driver. Like you said, Justin, Zach Hall pushes forward. That whole entire outside lane gets to advance forward in their spot in the line. But tonight's race is going to be 150 laps. Competition caution at the end of lap 40. Unless we have a caution before then that will count as our competition caution. And as well, got to be thinking about those fast repairs. They got none. They got to protect this vehicle as much as possible. They also have 5 sets of tires in pit road. But that fuel window, 61 to 63 laps, we'll see after our competition yellow if we're able to worry about green flag pit stops. The field's set. They're ready for racing action. The WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series Season 8, Race 3, New Hampshire 150 is underway as the drivers roar down into turn number 1, and already calamity. Drivers wrecking right at the immediate start, and it's wheel spin that causes the back of the field to have major issues.
Yeah, no. We didn't even get to lap 1 there, Sam. There's cars already sideways on the front straightaway. We're going to bring it to you here in a second and see exactly how it happened. What broke down? Maybe someone trying to get into his second gear or restarting in first could have lighted up those rear tires and just instantly spun it.
I believe it was around James Heater, Nick Alves. Drivers got into the restart zone. Some took off. Others had a delayed launch for themselves, and some drivers were taking off when they saw a green light instead of taking off when they saw the driver ahead of them taking off and causing calamity immediately when this race started. Some drivers with some pretty massive damage, but luckily, because it was at the initial start of the race, not big enough collisions that any drivers have required damage, so they should be able to get that damage repaired and back out there on track. Big scare, Justin, to start the race up, but that's what New Hampshire is. Big wheel spin, this bigger horse-powered ARCA machine. You never know on these restarts. We had the same issue last season when we first moved over to the Gen 4s of restart incidences, and they carry over here tonight as well.
Yeah, it's pretty much think you're sitting at a red light and you see the light turn green and you light them up, but you don't light it up at 900 horsepower. These things don't want to go on cold tires. They're just going to sit there and spin, and that's what we saw. And the accordion effect happened where some people started going, one car didn't get to go, and maybe someone got on the brakes, and then before you know it, 1 or 2 are sideways, and this is such a narrow front straightaway that you just have nowhere to go. And yeah, luckily it happened towards the back, so we didn't have too many cars involved, like you mentioned.
We do have a report, though, driver having some internet issues. Douglas Newbigging not able to stay connected to the server. He has been disconnected. The 7 is already 1 lap down, hoping to get back into the server, but that is highly unfortunate for Douglas Newbigging, who's now going to have to figure out how to come back next week, which next week is not going to be an easier track. Drivers heading to Watkins Glen road course racing for himself, but Douglas Newbigging's trying to get reconnected back into the server, and luckily the yellow flag was here. But Justin, big thing, this caution, because it was on lap 1, it doesn't matter if it's on lap 1, but if any yellow pops up before lap 40, that counts as our competition yellow. So there it will no longer be a comp yellow from this point on.
Yeah, comp yellow over with, and you never know. Things could settle down. Last week at Texas, maybe if you were watching, you were thinking this might turn into a wreck fest, and the first 40, 50 laps, kind of a little bit like that, and then it settled right in, and we had ourselves a really fine race at the end. It came down to fuel, and I hope everyone was able to watch it because last week was great, and we're expecting another really good one here. I think it's going to settle down. Sam, what are you thinking?
Oh, I'm expecting the same thing, for it to settle down at some point. The question is, when will we see that settle down? It didn't take the drivers at Texas until we almost got to halfway through the race when they started to finally calm down and then attack and kind of go into those long green flag runs and have enough spacing for one another. Tonight, it might take a little bit longer. We'll see how this restart's going to handle, though, as you see the pace car pull off into the restart zone. Here we go again at New Hampshire. Shane Terry and Zach Hall going to be taking off as we are green for now and sending it down into the corner. Drivers are given a waiting point for themselves as Shane Terry, great launch for himself off the exit of turn 2 and the 9. Feeling comfortable for himself at this moment as the rest of the field trying to just make it salvageable through one corner.
Yeah, we see already going halfway down the back straightaway cars, starting to get a little single file to front 2, 3, trying to give each other space. It looks like they're going to make it through this first lap really clean. Drivers are maybe starting to settle in now, and we'll get this race underway here. I think we got 145 still to go, though, Sam. It's going to be a long one.
Weird. Might have been wondering, why did the green flag just pop up now? There was a very bizarre, because that first yellow, the time that it came out, the drivers were not given a yellow of the green flag until now, where the whole entire field just had their whole entire, a bunch of black flags cleared. It was a very awkward scenario, but we want to give a huge shout out to our race control, Steve Benjamin, able to fix this issue for the drivers. Otherwise, this could have been a bigger mess than it was. That is not a mistake on our end. That's an iRacing thing that just popped up. That's why the green flag came up a lap later from when the drivers actually took off.
Yeah, those computer glitches happen, but I did notice the 9 car running really high up there. Gonna have to keep a note of that, see if he has speed up there, or if he maybe just cooked a corner or spec, but he was running up there in that 3rd lane in that corner, and that was a little interesting. And we're still side by side here, which is surprising. I thought they would be a little settling down here. See the 13 get a little loose in the corner there. You notice that, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, they certainly are trying to hold on in the 13. Cedric Connors getting a little bit of a scare. Also seeing Isaiah Sutherland in that Jeff Gordon flame scheme, trying to make his way forward as quickly as they can. But this rear end's not feeling comfortable off the exit of the corner at this current time. Douglas Newbigin, you see the fastest lap, is back in the session. 3 laps down is the 7 machine. But Isaiah Sutherland had a computer freeze last week right before the race started. The 14 is very happy to be able to be taking the green here in the first 7 laps of tonight's race.
Yeah, that worked out great for Isaiah to get in here, get points, get settled back in. And just to mention for anyone watching Douglas Newbigging, he's back in 3 laps down. You might be thinking, okay, that's bad, but hey, 3 cautions, 3 lucky dogs, and he's right back in it. And one of the good things is maybe he's right now not in the middle of everything. He's out there kind of just being able to run his own race.
And also for the some of these drivers out here, they're just happy that they made it through that first initial start of the race. That first wreck was not comfortable for themselves, as seeing some drivers making their ways forward. Anthony Gaudio in the 29 machine currently trying to make his way forward. He's falling back a couple of positions as he's being passed by Brian P. Johnson, who's up 6 spots. Brian P. Johnson really moving his way forward. Another driver that's moving forward is Cody Reed with that of the 28, as Cody Reed's working that outside lane, trying to get by Brandon Colley, and almost gets into the 1 machine. Great save, and a big scare for the 1 of Colley, who's had some terrible luck the start of this season at Daytona, caught up in a wreck under pacing, and then also was caught up in a couple of wrecks last week at Texas. Another scare, but luckily holds on, is the 52.
Yeah, that was a really nice save. We talked about the wheel spin coming out of the corner. We talked about how much horsepower is in these cars. That was a really wonderful job, as we're seeing right now Anthony Gaudio under pressure from 2 cars behind him. We got our Daytona 500 winner right there, Brian Johnson, running right behind Anthony Gaudio, but also has pressure from the 20. There's battles going all over this track. These drivers are doing a really great job right now. We know how hard this track is to pass on, and we talk about the progressive banking and just trying to be able to stay underneath someone. And just, we're going to see the 2 car here. He's going to have to get on the brakes a little harder and get down to the bottom. And you can see the cars bouncing as they get on that braking, and that also upsets the car. I mean, Sam, when you see that, what are you thinking as a driver?
I mean, drivers certainly are just hoping that they don't hit the wrong bump. Otherwise, they can find themselves sliding up a little bit too aggressively. But ultimately, staying stable is always the key. A lot of drivers also messing with their brake bias is a big thing that they work on going into these corners, and some drivers not working on their brake bias as much as just right on board with Danny Cochran in the 2, trying to find his way to move forward to stay inside of our top 15, and seeing these great side-by-side battles all around on the 2. Also having to run that middle groove because he's being pressured by Brian Noel and the 77 dudes inside.
Yeah, we see Brian Noel right there on the inside with a nice move to get underneath him and come out of the corner even, which is great because then down the straightaway, if you can do that same thing that you did in the previous corner, as we see the 77 doing, he's able to clear him now. Just keep working on him about a half a car length each lap, and he got by him. And I think that's smart on both drivers. The 2 recognizing that it's a little early in the race, let's just settle in and get that spot in and not let anyone behind him get any closer. He has that little bit of gap behind him, and that's important. Sometimes when you do get past, make it easy so that you don't let another car come up to you, because then you could be at risk of losing another spot.
Another big passes early on. Larry Yingling waiting for no one, up 7 spots and give him the lead. It's the 67, the last driver to win this race back in season 6. Well, he's back to where he felt the most comfortable. That's Larry Yingling dominated back in season 6. He led 133 laps of 143 during that race. And the 67 is back to where he feels the most comfortable. Clean air, running up front, being the pace setter for himself. And an odd thing I just saw through 3 and 4, the 13 is Cedric Hunter. I don't know if he's been doing that all race long. Through 3 and 4, he was riding on the apron trying to get a good exit off the corner.
Yeah, Sam, I'm happy that you called it out, because this track, after 15, 20 laps, we're starting to see you really could move around, especially over in turns 3 and 4 where we're right now. We're seeing it right now. He's getting down below that yellow line. It's flatter down there, but you're getting below the bumps coming in the corner, and that helps keep the car stable. And coming out, you're able to, with the way the angles work, you're able to get to the power a little bit sooner coming out at 3 and 4. It doesn't seem to work as well in 1 and 2, but he's going to get down there and prove me wrong, which I love. But 3 and 4, I really think we're going to be on board here, and you're going to call this. It's going to be great. Here we go.
Yes, we're going to be running on board with 13. Cedric Hunter. He's going to dive it down low and try to get onto this concrete. See that lighter surface. It's the concrete surface that's allowing the 13. Try to gas it back up, and there's a high risk when you go down to that apron. You saw that transition going from the flat apron to the banked corner. You find yourself in some easy trouble if you're going with that type of a movement and you're not expecting a little bit of a bobble moving back on the racing surface. But there's the wheelmanship, counter steering off the next to the corner, trying to keep this vehicle pointed straight at Cedric Hunter. Surviving for now. That last lap, one of the fastest on track is Cedric Hunter as he continues to run on the apron, try to set up a pass on Isaiah Sutherland. Other drivers deeper in the field, some major issues collecting up for Nicholas Workessel. Workessel, who was finding himself with some heavy damage, got into the outside wall at the exit of 4, and drivers now 18 laps into this run, starting to feel a little bit of trouble. And oh, speaking of trouble, caution flag is out, and it's drivers behind this 45. It's Ben Keeney as well as going to be seeing the 44 and the 25 with the major damage.
Yeah, we've seen that one car right there with a little bit of damage right there shoved in the nose. That could be really hard. It looks like that's the 44. That could be trouble, Sam. You don't want to have that, and we've seen it on the 25 there in the front left too.
And that's going to be James Kaufman in the 25. It looked like he was running in lower line. This is after that incident had happened, and it looked like the 25, as you see here, just goes down low, moves up in front of the 44, kind of breaks in the center of the corner, while Nick Alves tries to gas it up, hard contact, and both drivers find themselves getting spun around and bringing out our second caution of the day. And for Ben Keeney, able to stay out of trouble, he'll slow down just in time before catching up to that incident.
Yeah, that incident, that's that product. Maybe the 25 there kind of maybe slid down in the corner and then came back up, and the 44 was just at that point where he was getting ready to gas it up. It happened so fast, and they just make that slight contact. But we have pit stops coming. Most of them are coming in. We're seeing 1 or 2 cars maybe staying out, but everyone wants to get those tires here at lap 19. Got 5 sets, like you mentioned, so we're going to be down to 4 for majority of the teams out there.
And it's not a bad decision to come in now, use up one of those sets, especially when you know, hey, if we leave a long green flag run, this race could turn into a 2-stop type of a run from here on out. So not a bad call to hit pit road. Also of note, Ross Tatum, 21, deciding to stay out on track. Going to be one of the few drivers that did so. But the battle off pit road, give it to Zach Hall in the 32, taking 2 tires, as well as Brian P. Johnson 2 tires for themselves. Rest of the field, 4 tires of fuel.
Yeah, this is going to give us, the viewers here, a really good idea of how much tires matter versus clean air. It's going to be really neat now to see. I mean, we do have 3 different strategies. We got complete old tires, we got 2 tires, and we got 4. And we're also going to have a little bit of different fuel, because I'm imagining maybe Zach Hall, yeah, I'm assuming he probably filled it up, but I don't know for certain. But we do know that 21 definitely already has 20 laps of fuel burned.
Yeah, it's like all when you take those 2 tires, you're fueling it up as well as taking tires. Ross Tatum wanting to stay out, recognizing, hey, this race could turn into a little bit more cautions, could build up. So let's just stay out, get the bonus points of leading a lap, have this track position, and good knowledge to grab in these first 20 laps. Still have 130 laps to go here this evening. Might as well try something a little bit risky, I would say, Justin, for these drivers when you know you have time to rebound later on in this race.
Yeah, I think Brian was running back in like 11th or 12th, we mentioned when we were watching him a little earlier. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. If he's able to stay in the top 10 by the next pit stop, we'll know it worked off for him. And if not, then it's still worth the gamble. It's always better to be front row than to be back in the middle or the back. I mean, less chances of an accident, you would imagine, up front. But you never know. Lightning can strike anywhere.
It certainly can, and also you saw the 7 machine getting its lap back, but that of Douglas Newbigin down to just 2 laps down. Rest of the field still on the lead lap. Drivers staying into pit road for extended time to get damage repair. Cameron Sarton, as well as Nick Alves, James Heater, Dakota Moniz, James Kaufman, and Nicholas Caressel going to be getting some extra damage repair. Update on Benjamin Nelson and Ollie Fonseca, who had to start deeper in the field. They've been the highest movers of those that had an EOL L1 penalty. Benjamin Nelson, Ollie Fonseca up to 24th and 25th position. These cautions are helping out. They're hoping that maybe they can get a little bit more spacing moving forward, but just showing even when they are fast drivers, it's tough to get through this field with the amount of traffic there is here at New Hampshire.
Yeah, New Hampshire. I would say all tracks are hard to pass at, but this is definitely one of the harder tracks to pass at. It's just being so flat. We saw Cedric Hunter going down below the apron, trying to find places to pass, and we talked about the 9 running high in one corner, just testing out the grooves. I mean, you can run all over this track pretty much, except right up against the wall. But with the progressive banking, you're able to make moves as we're getting the pace car ready to pull off here, and we're going to bring the action right back.
As we get ourselves back to racing here tonight, Ross Tatum, old tires, 20 lap difference, and they are already going to be green flag for the 21 machine. A great launch for himself. That inside row taking off cleanly. Barry Yingling going to be right on the inside quarter panel for second place as at 67, not wasting any time. Already going to be challenging for the lead position. 3 wide off the exit of turn 2. A little bit of a wiggle and a slip, but it's going to be the drivers on the inside lane making the moves big time. Yingling, Shane Terrian, Zach Hall, really not much movement for himself as there are going to be more 3 wide as Ross Tatum just falls quickly going backwards. Those old tires showing this is a bad decision maybe for the long run. We got those quick bonus points for the 21.
Yeah, Ross opened that elevator door and he pressed
trouble.
down.
Entry turn 1. Drivers are scattering around one another. See the 6, Brad Delph and others spun around on the entry of the corner and talked about how the braking can be difficult. I think this is one of those moments where the braking situation collapsed on the field on the entry of turn 1.
Yeah, it looks like maybe we had 3 drivers in that. The 56, I don't think he was in it. I think the damage was able to be saved, as we can see right here.
Watch
Looks like
out for
maybe
the
car got
12.
hooked.
Yeah, it's going to be this 12 machine to watch out for. That's going to be Justice Murphy. It's going to be coming off the exit of turn 4. As the drivers are going to be entering turn 4, looking good, but the slide up from the 12, it's going to get him the outside wall here. Just a little bit of a mistake. And bam, just hit, slid, and then from here on out, it's just reactionary of everyone scattering around one another.
Yeah, oh, the 41 was so close to making it through, and then a little bit of airborne there. Wow, the 6 definitely took a lot of damage. He got hit 2-3 times like a ping pong. Here comes the 12. Yeah, we got 4 or 5 cars in that. I mean, that's not going to be good. We probably have a little bit of lengthy repairs on some of these guys.
Well, I think the one driver happy to see this yellow, probably Ross Tatum, able to come into pit road, get some service done, but Brad Delph involved in that. He also saw Benjamin Nelson, a huge driver that's involved in that issue. Rich Wolsifer coming in late. And now our third caution of the day. Going to be having
Yeah.
these drivers settling in. Who's going to take that damage repair? We're expecting, like you said, 4 to 5 people coming into pit road at least to get damage repaired.
Yeah, you're going to want to get it all fixed as best as you can. Ross right now, Ross Tatum, he's definitely happy. He's going to give up that track position, no problem, go on both those 4 fresh ones and try and recover. But we do want to mention Brandon Newbigging, Brian Newbigging. He's going to be 1 lap down. Douglas. All right, viewers, I'm still learning all their names. I can't wait to get them all down pat, but he's going to be getting close to being back on his lead lap. He was 3, then 2, now he's going to be 1. And he doesn't have damage. He's going to be in nice shape, so never give up. He's going to be in good shape, I think, here. We'll get 1 more caution. We're going to be watching him come through the field.
I'm excited to see once Douglas gets back onto the lead lap again. Really didn't have a chance for himself. But hey, let's take a look at the weather conditions for tonight's race. Outside ambient temperature going to be 83 degrees. The track temp, though, 92 degrees. Seeing the wind around that 7 miles per hour window and heading in the north direction currently. Kind of shifting back and forth between north and northeast. But Justin, that weather, 92, now has dropped down to 91. Track temp is going to be one of those factors also what's helping out with that sliding effect.
Yeah, the hot track, tires are going to get hot. They're going to slip, slide. That we saw 15 lap tires only on the 21, and we saw him drop. He through the first corner, he was back to 4th or 5th, and he was just up on that high line, and cars were feeding underneath him. He's happy to see that caution, but is proof that tires are going to matter. We know it's hard to pass, but tires are definitely going to matter. You're going to want to get your track position down. You're not going to want to end up starting 20th because you didn't take tires and fell through the field. But you also can't burn through every set of tires, Sam. You can't just put them on every time.
Absolutely not. It's going to be that patience game. Which caution at what moment? Maybe they've calculated a caution flag happens here. I'll take tires. And always thinking about that audible call of how do I change up my mentality and also strategy throughout the night. Drivers that did come into pit road, though, going to be drivers all the way back from 27th. That's where we find Ross Tatum, but 28th on back. Drivers are still coming in periodically to get service done, get that damage repair. Luckily, the drivers are driving slow enough, not compared to last week at Texas, where they were almost going 200 miles per hour into the corners. But instead, they're going around 160, able to be slow enough to this damage that they're collecting isn't massive and just race ending immediately, which is what we love to see. These drivers able to stay in the fight, come back, and have a chance to have a good finish here. As we're getting prepared and ready to go, Larry Yingling and Zach Hall going to be side by side in the front row. And we find Shane Terrian in the 9 machine, Isaiah Sutherland in 4th, Brandon P. Johnson, Cedric Hunter, and as well going to be seeing that 71 machine, Edward Sherber Jr. That rookie's been showing a lot of promise this season as we are back to green flag action. Larry Yingling already moving up high in a clean launch for the 67.
Yeah, we're getting a nice clean launch going here through 1 and 2. Larry's got that little bit of gap, which is nice. He doesn't have pressure behind him. We're still in the 2x2 behind, though. We're expecting them to all try and get down single file. You just want to be able to get out there and cruise, get some laps in here. We're seeing Johnny Brugg right here and Anthony Gaudio, who we mentioned, getting underneath the 3 maybe, trying to make a move here. They might come out of this corner 3 wide, Sam.
They're going to be almost 3 wide, and the big thing that you look out for is who's being the most aggressive right now, who's willing to make some of these big moves. And currently in 77, Brian Noel trying to work that inside groove, and it's working great to go 3 wide in the middle of the pack. Other drivers, though, having issues as some sparks are flying deeper in the field, and oh no! Calamity strikes on the backstretch, and it's the 1 machine and others being spun around, and the big one. There were 2 separate incidences going on. There was a trouble in the back half on the entry turn 1, but the ultimate big one was on the backstretch in the middle where we saw Colley and others spun around.
Yeah, we saw the 13 there with some damage on both front end fenders. It looked like maybe he got loose out of the corner and got hit by the 52 from behind. We're going to be bringing this replay to you shortly, but Ryan Kelly got caught up in it. The 1 got caught up. It's maybe 4 or 5 cars. Here we go, Sam.
We're going to be seeing it here. Entry the corner. And watch out for Cedric Hunter as well as 71 of Edward Sherber Jr. Going to be slight clip off the exit of the corner. Just wiggle, 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 slight tap. And everyone trying to slow down immediately. Others being tapped. And we said this a lot last season. That rear bumper and front bumper make contact. You're lifting up that rear end of the driver in front of you. And you're seeing a lot of drivers being lifted up and spun around like they're nothing. like we just saw there on that replay. Collie just sits still, lets the field drive on by, hoping to not get any extra damage like he's had these last couple of races. And luckily, what could have been, I think, a lot worse was a little bit minimized there on that incident.
Yeah, he's just want to go in and get that fixed. A lot of drivers want to get this fixed. Even drivers from the previous cautions, just go in, hammer it out. The race isn't over yet. We're not even halfway yet here, Sam. We still got a lot of laps. I mean, we talked about Douglas Newbigging. He's going to be here on the lead lap now, so he's going to have to be involved in this now. He can't just hang out and try and wait for the lucky dog anymore. Now he's going to be right here in the middle of everything, and we'll see if his luck holds strong.
He's hoping that it's going to stay strong. Zach Hall, Carolina Reapers team, trying to make their way forward. He's been staying inside of the top 5, which is probably the safest place to be all night long so far in the first 30 laps of tonight's race, which crazy to think, Justin, we still have over a little bit under 130 laps still to go here tonight. So drivers recognizing, hey, there is a lot of time to be made up, but don't want to throw away your race too soon, as Douglas Newbigging has officially placed back onto the lead lap. That's a big gain for the 7, who initially got knocked out of the server right under that first yellow with some connection issues. Came back into the session 3 laps down. Talked about it, Justin. Just needed a couple of more cautions to get back on the lead lap, and he has successfully done so.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty amazing. I mean, you never know, but bad luck often can turn into good luck. One thing, if he does come in here, is able to top off, we talked about the fuel window being in about 60, 62, 63 laps, somewhere around there. If you times that by 2, it brings you to over 120, and we're showing here lap 33, so we got a 119, 118 to go. I mean, he could come in and only have to do 1 stop. Right now, everyone else is on a 2-stop, if it stayed green, which, do you think it will, Sam?
I mean, it's tough to say, especially with drivers, changing up their strategies. Some falling back, some with a little bit fresher tires able to advance forward. I think we're expecting a little bit more carnage to rain out before things settle out, just moving forward in tonight's race. But I think maybe thinking about that fuel strategy is always a good thing to have in the back of your mind. But with these pace laps, it also enables these drivers to go a little bit further than what they traditionally would be told of that 60 to 65 window we were told. So we'll see how things change up here on this restart. Will we get a clean launch, or will we get a little bit more Rubbins racing action here at New Hampshire? As Larry Yingling going to be the top dog up front once again. Driver that won this race back in season 6. There was 10 cautions during that race, but Larry got the pole, led the most laps, and ultimately won the race. And if Larry leads the most laps, wins the race, breaking that trend that we've had for these past 2 races back in season 2, was Brian P. Johnson, who got the pole and led the most laps here tonight. Needing some help with Shane Terry to get back in that lead position. We'll see how well they take off here. Still plenty of racing action here at New Hampshire. Pace cars into pit road, into the restart zone, and Larry Yingling just trusts getting onto that throttle pedal because he's already gone.
Yeah, he's gone already. Was able to actually clear them going into one, get to the outside line so he could get a great angle going in the corner. That was really nice on his move, as we're seeing these drivers then 2 by 2 behind him. Larry Yingling setting it early.
He certainly is comfortable running that inside groove. Isaiah Sutherland now going to be moving up to second, as see the 9 falling back to 3rd place, but it's Brian P. Johnson, Daytona winner, moving forward, season 1 champ, comfortably trying to make the inside lane work to get up to 3rd place. One of our bigger movers, and oh no, James Peter in the background. Caution flag is out, and trouble for the middle of the back half of the field once again.
Oh no, we see the 6 there getting caught up again, and the 13 and the 25. They definitely got some damage from the previous runs. Now they're going to have even more. The Knights are just not going the way they want right now here, Sam.
Absolutely not. James Peter also taking a tow on that incident, and looks to be James Kaufman catching his vehicle and having trouble off the exit of the corner. And oh my goodness, drivers just being lifted up constantly there. They're being ran over.
Yeah, this is what we used to see back with these old Gen 4 cars. Like you said, they just slide right underneath the rear bumpers. The bumpers aren't low to the ground, and it just pops them up in the air. It's interesting how they got that down, iRacing.
So you see the 25 off the exit of the corner, just is catching that rear end, gets loose and pulls down low, clips the 18, slams on the brake, and everyone else not expecting that massive slowdown and everyone else running into one another. We're going to have another caution here tonight. Again, this was kind of expected on the fact of New Hampshire's a tough track. Drivers are expecting there to be incidences, usually on the entry or exit of these corners. And these wrecks kind of balloon out at times as James Kaufman and others get caught up in another mess. But luckily, they feel like they can try to get back in the fight. I think for James Heater, it's going to be a little bit of a longer one for himself as he took the toe to pit road, meaning he's got to stay in there for a couple of laps before he can get his damage fully repaired.
Yeah, we're seeing some drivers peel off that look like they probably had damage. We're not seeing anyone from the top 15, 20 cars get into pit road here. Sam, I don't know about you. I don't think I'd want to pit and give up any kind of track position. We didn't really put too many laps on these tires here. Most of them have been under caution. The fuel burn isn't too bad either under caution like you mentioned. So I'm comfortable with staying out right now. Maybe pit again if there's another caution, 10 or 15 laps. But you just don't want to use that other set of tires yet.
Yeah, I think a lot of these drivers might be thinking, okay, if we get a long green flag run, and then maybe if caution pops up in lap 50 or 60, that window, maybe I'll use another one of my 4 sets that I still have in pit road to work with. Otherwise, they stay out there as long as possible. That track position's so key for tonight's race. And also want to give note on the drivers that took 2 tires. Remember, Brian P. Johnson took 2 tires. Zach Hall as well, trying to keep track position. Outstage Brian P. Johnson's taking that major advantage, working on the inside lane. Zach Hall doesn't look as comfortable, but again, these restarts are so difficult. If you're not in the first 2 rows, you seem to be stalling out and kind of in trouble of almost being passed with the drivers behind you that kind of figured out the jumping points on these restarts.
Yeah, we saw the 14 have a really nice restart and get up to the second. I thought he was going to pressure Larry Yingling, but just didn't have a chance yet with the way the cautions have fallen. But we're going to see on this restart shortly what happens. Zach Hall, I think we did talk about how he took 2 tires. So the fact that he's been able to fend off these guys on fresher tires, even though he's on 2, I mean, that shows that he has the speed. We know once he does get on 4 tires, he's going to be someone to reckon with.
He certainly should be. Someone to watch out for as the field getting prepared. How do you want to attack this launch? So we should be getting the 1 to go marker as the next time they drive on by, as we are finding ourselves about to be 40 laps into this race. Again, huge shout out to our sponsors here for the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series. Again, grid sponsor being Colley's mom, who always wants to see the one machine drive well. Again, caught up in some issues. The one back in 29th place, but hopefully Colley's mom is enjoying the show this evening. And also want to give a shout out to Roasted Gems Coffee. Go get your coffee blend today from Roasted Gems Coffee. Start your day off right. They have a wide range of blends and flavors for you to try out, as well as remember to use the promo code WSSR for 5% off. And Trophy Smack. Be the envy of your competition with having your own custom trophy, belt, ring, and more. It can all be purchased at Trophy Smack. Design it the way that you would like to have your own trophy. I know people have fantasy football as well as sim racing events going on. You're looking for a trophy to be purchased, remember to get it from Trophy Smack. And when purchasing, remember to use the promo code WSSR SMACK for 10% off. Well, 40 laps in the book. We still have 110 to go here at New Hampshire. And the driver up front, Larry Yingling's been the dominant one. We're back to green flag action. Isaiah Sutherland trying to defend for that second place spot. That's Brian P. Johnson, not close enough. Top about 5 in line. Side-by-side racing, though, is back for 5th place. It's Zach Hall and Edward Sherwood Jr. for out of 5th position.
Yeah, we're seeing the 14 here right now. Pressure in the 67. Seeing if he's going to make that move. We talked about it. We see the 28 and 9 also right there to Fordham, separating a little bit there until we're side by side there with Zach Hall and the 71.
71, a couple of slip-ups here and there. It's a tough track. Everyone has their own issues. And right now, it's Zach Hall trying to work on that inside lane. Again, working with just 2 tires that he took under his pit stop. He's got over 30-plus laps on the left sides. The right side's having a little bit more comfort to work with. This field is trying to continue to move forward, staying in line. Going to be a majority of the field. We're starting to see Cody Reed on the charge, 52, as he stays in the top 10. What a run for Cody Reed, who won Talladega last season, but in his rear, he's got some very aggressive movement going on from Brian Noel and Anthony Gaudio, who push up the 52, exit the corner. Let's go 3 wide with these drivers down into 3.
green light to 77. Didn't blink there for a second. Glad he was able to come back in. But that was a great move. We saw him get way up there in the third lane, cut the corner to the left, drive down to the bottom, and get underneath those cars. Right now, they're going to make contact, Sam. They got a little contact there.
Making contact with one another as well. A little bit of contact into Cody Reed, who's trying to just get out of the way. Even more contact. Noel into Gaudio, pushing both drivers up, and now Christopher Norris trying to work, but they're all getting squeezed off the center of the corner off. And these drivers that are on screen, Anthony Gaudio, Christopher Norris, Danny Cochran in the 2, all of these drivers raced against one another on our Monday night series of the ISRC Truck Series, and they know each other's tendencies. But in a Gen 4 car where the brakes are a little bit tougher to slow down with, well, those tendencies start to balloon out. Maybe if you're a late driver that gets onto the brakes, or if you're just trying to take every advantage possible as Gaudio falls back, and it looks like Brian Noel taking every advantage possible. The 77 willing to use his elbows to take some of these positions.
Yeah, that got exciting there for a couple laps. It looks like maybe it's settling down here for a second. While it does, I just want to mention how we talked about the braking. We mentioned brake bias. Sam, to tell everyone, these drivers pretty much have a button on their screen or on their steering wheel. They're able to click it up, click it down, get more braking power to the front tires, get more braking power to the rear, or try and balance it so that the brakes are working the front and rear at the same time. What it does is it helps the car drive a little bit different. It keeps some of the heat out of the front tires. If you take more brake, put it into the rear, your front tires aren't going to get as hot. So that's something we got to keep an eye on, talk about. We're not going to be able to visually see it, but it's something that the drivers can do, and they actively change it as the run goes on, especially with fuel when it burns off.
Yeah, you're wanting a little bit more rear braking when you're at race speed. When you're trying to tackle these corners, you want to push it a little bit more balanced when you're trying to slow down into pit road. As we're seeing drivers side by side, Cameron Sarton debut race for the 99 machine, who we've run in a couple of different series that we've covered here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Excited to see the debut of the 99 on what speed he was going to have this evening. And right now, challenging with in some of the biggest threats of the series with Benjamin Nelson and Douglas Newbigging. These drivers just inside of the top 20. And oh no, a little bit of a tap, and what a save from Cameron Sarton. Douglas Newbigging to the apron to take both those positions. What a save by the 99.
Yeah, that was a 2-4-1 move right there. We talked about him. This guy's got it all going tonight. Drove from the back, 3 laps down. He's up to 17th now and just got 2 spots in that last corner. What a great drive for him, and he looks like he wants more, Sam.
Forward is Douglas Newbigging, seeing a chance to go after Mason Cassidy and also go after Ross Tatum. Tatum, again, driver with some of the freshest tires out there on track compared to anyone on course currently. Mason Cassidy, though, trying to find his way to comfortably move forward. This Ford machine has a lot more of a dirt background, and currently it's going to have to back off and maybe get some spacing. The 7, Douglas Newbigging, is giving no worries on how he's attacking this corner. He is trusting his equipment with some of these big dive bomb moves into the corners.
Yeah, he's ready to race. He spent the first 40 laps multiple laps down, and now he's on the lead lap, and he's ready to drive up through this field. But he's got a little bit of ways to go. He's halfway through there, but he's still got some ways to go. As we see a car get loose coming out of the corner, was that the...
That's Anthony Gaudio in the 29 getting a big slide and going to fall right in front of Douglas Newbigging. Able to keep it on track and go to the apron, but they're squeezing up. Big move by the 7 to the inside. Stitz gets a bad exit off of 4. And Douglas Newbigging taking a couple of more positions at 7, just looking like he's on a different plane from the rest of the drivers out there.
He is just making it work. He's down there on the Cedric Hunter line now, and he cleared them. He got by 2 of them in that corner too. I mean, he's picking it up. He's found something going. As he's under the 21 now, Ross Tatum, who we just were talking about, he's just going. The 7's got that inside line going. He's able to hold the car down there and get it to turn, and the best part is he's powering up and being able to carry that momentum down the straightaway.
Looking at the last couple of laps for Douglas Newbigging, though, none of them have been clean laps for him to just settle in, but he's running just as fast in that last lap, faster than our leader by 2/10. Douglas Newbigging is the fastest driver to watch out for currently in the whole entire field, but those that are inside of the top 10, some drivers to watch out for that are trying to close into our top 5. Edward Schur Jr. as well as Brian McCann. They're finding a little bit more speed, that 71 of the machine, as they continue to make their charge to catch up to our top 5 that just have been in a completely different zip code at moments. But it looks like Brian P. Johnson must be under fire for that 5th place position.
Yeah, and we also noticed the 9 car starting to slowly creep in on the top two. So maybe he's got some long run speed here. Isaiah Sutherland, he was not able to get around to 67, but he is right in his tire tracks, not losing any space. If he could get that clean air, I'm sure he could be just as fast. But the 9 car starting to put some pressure on him. So it's going to be something we're going to notice here. Does the 9 have the long run speed over the top two?
Trying to make the pass for the battle for second place is the 9 of Shane Tarian, as well as Zach Hall trying to close in on the battling. Brian P. Johnson from the Carolina Reapers racing team up to 5th place and comfortably in that position for now, as it looks like Sherwood Jr. backing off just slightly as we move our camera up to that battle for second place. You got to remember, Shane Tarian, one of the few drivers. There's so many different ways that you can try to race on iRacing. For some, it's more of a traditional wheel, and there's a ton of different variations of racing wheels and pedals that you can run with. Well, Shane Tarian's one of the few drivers that's out there in the sim, racing with the controller and the 9. He is putting the pressure. Usually on the controller, we find that the long run pace is where the 9 struggles. Right now, showing maybe it's a strength is almost contact between Sutherland and Tarian up the exit of 4.
Yeah, what we're seeing right now is typical Loudon. You get in there, you get under the car, and then you think you're going to make the pass, and then you just can't. You try so hard, you're turning that wheel to the left to stay off the guy above you, and you just don't have the ability to power down. But he's trying everything he can. He's getting higher, and now he's going to sling down to the bottom. He's going to be side by side here going into 3, Sam.
Down into turn number 3. So Tarian backing off a little bit sooner. Doesn't want to push the envelope too aggressively on the entry of the corner. If he did, it might have been a little bit more contact between those two drivers. Instead, they'll fight forward, staying in line. Middle of the field, though, you can see a little bit of side-by-side racing back there as Tarian tries the outside lane. Not going to work out the best of his abilities, but a lot of aggressive side-by-side racing from about 14th on back. There's a bad cluster that you see on screen where danger is lurking. And in the middle of all of it, it's Benjamin Nelson, Ollie Fonseca, and the tailpipes trying to find a way to get through this mess and start to fight for the drivers that are inside of our top 15.
Yeah, what great camera work we had there from Robert Mallory, showing us the 4 different lanes those drivers were in. They weren't 4 wide, but they were in 4 different lanes, and that was pretty impressive. I mean, they're just all over this track, Sam. These tires are worn out now. 52's running up high to 4's right there, comfortably in the middle. We got
trouble.
We have a caution.
And it's the 8 machine to Brian McCann. Field is trying to avoid the 8. He's stuck on the outside wall off the exit of turn 2. Our ticker kind of was blocking it there, but there we find Brian McCann facing in the wrong direction. And it was around the battling between the 8 and the 71 off the exit of the corner as McCann gets himself pointing straight now and able to take off. Going to be one of our few drivers. Required damage for Brian McCann. It's going to be off the exit of turn 2. We're going to see this battle of how it kind of builds up to this moment as they were trying to set up with McCann on the 71 of Sherwood Jr. And Justin, like you said, Loudon, it kind of gives you that false hope that you're able to make a pass. It looks like for the 8, he felt like he was clear. It just didn't work out completely here as he goes into the corner, feeling confident, but the exit of the corner, just a little bit of a clip as he tried to move up.
Yeah, he had the choice to make there. He thought he was clear. It's just so hard. The spotter might have said clear for a second up there, and then before you know it, that outside line just gets that run, and it was so close. It just didn't work out. It's just unfortunate halfway through the race, and now the 8's going to have some damage to repair, and it's going to be a long night for him to try and get back to the front. But we do know he's fast, so we know if he can do it, he's definitely going to be able to get up there. Yeah,
he certainly should be. As the field coming into pit road, no surprise, we were in such a long green flag run that was around 15-20 laps. Drivers feel like it's time to come into pit road, get service done as everyone enters the fight off of pit road. We'll go to Shane Tarian, Larry Yingling. Yingling's going to be able to be the driver to max his way off the pit exit. And after those battles that happen, I think for us, we're going to take a quick commercial break. There's been a lot of action here this evening. It's been a pleasure to give you all the coverage here at Freaking Fast Broadcasting. You're watching the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series, as we will be back in a few moments for you more coverage of New Hampshire here in just a few moments. 5 wide behind for fifth.
Oh my, the 5 wide here, this ain't gonna work. They make it last, bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with the shot here, coming off a 4. Look at him, that's it.
It's bottom line, here it comes. Oh no, Carter gets wrecked. It's gonna be that Nick Crawford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another. Trying to drive it down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes, Cedric Hunter. He does it. He steals it.
But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck it.
Oh, they wrecked. They wrecked each other. The top two bounced into one another. Just too much of side drifting off of, and they got to be careful. Oh no, the 4 demolishes in the 28. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the WSSR Roast the Gems Cup Series, race number 3 for Season 8. It's the New Hampshire 150. Currently, Larry Yingling leading the way. 67 has been quick, and he's been one of the more dominant drivers of tonight's race. As the field is getting prepared and ready to get back to green flag action, we've had quite a few wrecks, but it's all about surviving to the end. As we're inching closer to the halfway zone, we're back to green flag action, and drivers roar down into turn number 1. And a clean start as they prepare for the exit of turn 2. My name's Sam Dyer. With me is Justin Malarkey, and here we go, Justin, off the exit turn 2.
Exit of turn 2, Larry's still going to power down. Shane's right there on him, 1432, who is now on 4 tires, just like everybody else. He stayed up there the whole time, Sam, on 2. That's super impressive. So now I'm really excited to see what he's going to bring to this race, now on 4 fresh ones.
What are they going to bring? Battle for the lead. Shane Terrian's going to have the poke of the nose ahead. And Shane was our pole setter. Grabbed the pole late in qualifying, and now trying to take back the lead after letting Larry Yingling take that lead position early on. The 9, I think, might have recognized having that clean air so important. Doesn't want Larry Yingling to kind of be the pace setter of setting his own rhythm, protecting his tires his own way. Instead, the 9 still working that inside groove. Not clear just yet on the pass, but finally gets it done. It's now the 9 of Shane Terrian leading here at New Hampshire in the battle for 3rd place. Now about to get underway. Sutherland, Hall, here we go on if we can see that 32 start to advance forward.
Yeah, we talked about him. We think he's going to be fast. He held him off on 2 tires, and now he's got the 4 fresh ones, equal footing. See what he's going to have under stories. Right here, going under the 14, going to heavy braking, down on the bottom. You just can't get clear him. He's just running down there. You don't know how much he's going to abuse these tires, though. How many laps do you think you want to do this, Sam? Is he still fender to fender? They're right on each other.
It being and banging, Rubbins Racing. This is the type of action that we love to see on the WSSR Cup Series. Adding a little bit of flair on how these drivers want to race with one another. First, one of the few drivers that's really been able to make his way forward, cracking into the top 10s, but struggling to do so. It's Danny Cochran in the 2, now going to be side by side with Edward Sherwood Jr. in 71. Maybe kind of get a little bit done with drivers looping themselves on that front bumper. As trying to still stay stable on the outside, as Danny able to finally clear just ahead of that 71 machine down into turn number 1.
Yeah, always want to be able to get those oh no, trouble. We got the 2 turnaround. Danny Cochran, he's not going to hit anything on the brakes and just kisses the wall ever so slightly.
Thought he was fully clear, and it was not the case for Danny Cochran. And a couple of other drivers piling in late as well. It's James Kaufman and as well as Nick Alves. That was Kaufman and Brad Delph having a little bit of contact after the fact. But Danny Cochran getting the worst of it.
Yeah, that's so unfortunate. We don't think he has too much damage there. I mean, is that the broadcaster jinxed? Did we bring it out? We were talking about him right then and there. It happened live.
The broadcaster's curse, yes, is 100% a thing. But Danny, it's happened to him so many times, it's bound to happen again. He knows that if I say his name, it's bound to happen. He's asked me to stop saying his name. It's hard. You get inside the top 10, we got to mention you. And he gets caught up in the mess and now has to fight through the field once again to find himself up front. And I know the field, they're always hoping that we don't jinx them or give them that commentator's curse of you mention a driver, how well they're doing or about to do something great, and then they get caught up in a mess and a wreck and the race is over. Luckily, it's not the case for Danny. But Justin, it's one of those things, as a driver, you don't know that it happened, but for us in the booth, we, and for the viewers, you kind of notice it live, the fact of, well, the curse just was marked.
Yeah, and maybe this is the curse also, but we did talk about Douglas Newbigging a lot. He was running up in 7th, and all of a sudden he's back to 24th, and that previous pit stop must have had some trouble there, maybe fixing a little bit of damage that we weren't aware of, but he did drop back to 24th on that restart, so just wanted to bring everyone up to date on that one.
Also, got a report. Drivers do listen to our broadcast. Some like to listen, hear our advice, or sometimes the strategy calls that we might have. Sometimes they just want to listen. Christopher Norris, though, personally messaged me, said, "Don't message me, please, right now," because he's now cracked in the top 10. Congratulations, Norris. Hopefully, you're not next on the list of being commentator cursed, but we'll see if you can survive through this madness. That is New Hampshire. We're still not even at halfway. And the drivers know this is crunch time. Also, the fact that we're getting that interesting point, Justin, of the race where we might see these drivers from this point onwards. Do you take one more stop just for tires? Because fuel window is inching closer and closer to the end of this race.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up. I am a big fan of being able to pit right near that window. Right now, I'm doing it. If I'm a leader, maybe I'm not, but if I'm running 10th, 12th, 13th, I think you got to sometimes just roll the dice because you don't know. Get in there, get your fuel. If it stays green, you're in good shape. Even if it stays green for 40 laps, these drivers in the front, maybe they have to start pitting because they're getting low on fuel. They don't want to risk staying out too long. They want to stop halfway through to run, and then before you know it, you're the leader. Caution comes out, and they're trapped a lap down. There's a lot of plays. I like the decision. We're seeing these guys just going here single file, just taking it easy right now to staying behind the pace cars.
Getting ready for this race. Drivers set up for when they're going to be taking off, and might as well get our thoughts on how these drivers are feeling for tonight's race. Let's see if we can talk to some of the drivers out there on track. Danny just caught up in that wreck. Curious on his thoughts on how he can march through this field. Going to be all the way back in 26th position. Let's see if Danny's feeling comfortable trying to climb through this madness. Let's cue up that 2 machine. Danny, it's Sam and Justin up at the booth. We're getting that 1 to go marker, man. How are you feeling trying to go through the field? Just caught up in that mess back in 26. How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling like I can't wait to get dumped again. I'd hate to have a decent run through the field and somebody not turn me. But we're about to be a man on a mission here, and I hope you guys enjoy the show because it's going to be one to watch. I'm running a line that nobody else is running, and I think it's going to prove fairly effective here on this rubber den track. But first I got to navigate through the 77 and 71 and all those happy campers up there. So sit back, relax, enjoy the show. Hope you got some popcorn because we are about to come flying through this field.
Can't wait to see you, Danny, and hopefully you'll survive through it. Good luck out there.
Appreciate it, guys.
Well, that's going to be the 2 machine. Danny Cochran, obviously you can hear it in his voice, a little fired up, excited for this restart as we find ourselves getting ready to go back to green flag action. Here we go as Shane Terry and Larry Yingling going to be your front 2 drivers. Shane gets the better launch down into turn number 1. And it's Larry Yingling, just that inside lane, looks so preferred for the 67. A great launch, Justin, off the exit of turn 2.
Yeah, 9 comes right down, crosses his nose, and the 67 had to maybe check up there. A spec coming out of the corner is going to allow the 32 to hang on his outside. And Isaiah Sutherland's watching these 3 in front of him, knowing that he has a fast car. He just can't find out that way to be able to get that lead. We know he's fast. Right here, we're on board with him, Sam.
Right on board Sutherland. You can see the side-by-side action, but a quick yellow pops up instead as Yingling holds on steady, and it's Richard Wolsifer back in 33rd place. Pointing in the wrong direction off the exit of the corner. It looks to be, I believe, just a self-spin for the 67 coming off the exit of the corner. One of those drivers that just got 4 fresh tires. Loose sensation. Not comfortable for himself, and that's going to be a quick spin. That brings out this yellow.
Yeah, 4 fresh cold tires, and he just used up probably 10 laps of life maybe by spinning them. So we'll see if he goes back in and uses that strategy of taking another set and maybe running this thing the rest of the race on fuel if we do get a long green run, which we know it happened last week. We see it at 56 right here. He's able to stay off the wall, Sam. That's not really any damage at all. I think he's going to be fine.
Yeah, well, a quick slip then. The way the 56 goes, able to stay off the wall and not get as much damage. We'll try to recover from that incident. Shane Terry going to be up front. Zach Hull in 2nd. 3rd is Larry Yingling with Isaiah Sutherland in 4th. And Brian Noel going to be in 5th place. These front runners trying to get into kind of a rhythm, if possible, for themselves. It's kind of tough to get in that rhythm, though, Justin, for a driver's experience of going through races like this where you go 5 laps, then a yellow flag comes out, you go 20 laps, then another one comes out, you only go 2 laps, and there's just no pace or rhythm to these yellows. How do you try to mentally set up into these types of races?
Yeah, mentally as a driver, I never really liked cautions. I like getting in the rhythm. I like when the tires wear out, the car's spread out. I don't like restarts, especially when maybe as we talked to Danny earlier, how he said he didn't like how he thought he got turned, and that's what happens on restarts. You have people dive bomb who maybe weren't running near you for the last 30 laps, but then a restart happens, they're bunched up and they're right behind you, and you get turned, and then it just makes for a frustrated rest of the night. Cautions, they breed cautions, we know that, and right now we've had quite a few of them. We're at the halfway point, so what are you thinking for the final 75 here?
I mean, I'm hoping that maybe because we're at the halfway point, we'll start to see that swing, but with 36 drivers still fighting for the best finish that they can get, I would imagine they're still going to be scrapping for everything. Potential chances of wrecks are still pretty high, and they're going to try to stay out of trouble the best that they can as drivers coming into the pit road, getting service done, waiting for the pace car lights to come off to give us the 1 to go indication. Hey, let's talk to, we talked to Danny back in 26th on that last pace. Let's talk to someone that's inside of our top 5, Brian Noel, 77. He's had some pretty aggressive moves at time. We'll see if the 77, though, if he's got any other big moves, as we chime in and try to give a report to the 77. 77, Brian Noel, it's Sam and Justin up at the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, Brian, you're inside of the top 10 in 5th place. What's this car feeling? How are you feeling so far here tonight?
Well, I mean, it feels fine. It's a little loose, but I knew that going in that it would be a little loose, but yeah, it's handling just about as well as I thought it would.
And Justin, you got any questions here for Brian as we got him?
Brian, 74 to go here. How many sets of tires do you have left, and when do you want to bolt on your last set?
I'm still trying to figure that out, to be honest. I mean, I definitely have a decent amount, but I'm not quite sure when I'm gonna dive in right at the end.
Have you noticed tire wear be extreme? Are tires really important? You don't want to stay out there maybe if the tires do 15, 20 laps on them? Is that when you want them?
Well, I mean, the fall off really isn't that severe, to be honest. It's just the fresh rubber is loose for like a couple laps, and then it comes in, and then it kind of stabilizes. So it'll just be, I guess it'll just be more of a judgment call how I feel about the track conditions.
Well, we appreciate that feedback. We're going to send you back down here to your team so you can get back talking, and we're getting ready to go green here, so best of luck to you. We know you're fast.
All right, appreciate it.
As that will be the 77 machine from Lucky Ducks Motorsports of Brian Noel. 77, hoping that this is going to be a good launch for himself here tonight. As the field is stacked up, they got the 1 to go marker. That means it is time for us. We are officially into the second half of tonight's race. And it's going to be Shane Terry and Zach Hall. Isaiah Sutherland going to be your front runners. Larry Yingling, though, going to be right behind Zach Hall. We'll see how this launch is going to influence Larry in any way. So we're into the restart zone. Green flag is out. And everyone able to get a pretty decent launch up front, deep in the field. Once again, it's the survival factor for everyone. 15th on back as they exit out of turn number 2 with Shane Terrian leading the way in the 9.
Yeah, Shane's been watching those Falcons from SpaceX launch because he launched on that restart, but the 32 is going to be right here with him going down in the corner. We know the 32's fast as it was his first attempt on the restart there, being with the leader, and he's able to stay with them. He'll hold up to 67, who we know is fast, and that 14 we know he's fast. We're waiting for that 14 to get in that front row and show us what he's got.
Trying to make these moves, but he's being pressured by Larry Yingling on the inside lane. And trying to make some big moves also. Some other drivers that we talked about earlier in the race that have had to work all night long to move forward. Ross Tatum now up to 8th position. But this is the best battle on screen. Watching Isaiah Sutherland trying to defend for every spot on the outside of the 14. Couldn't defend over Larry Yingling. It looks like Brian Noel gonna have the better launch off the exit of turn 4 as they stay dead heat. Drag racing down into turn number 1.
Drag race down into 1, heavy brake into 77, gets in there perfect. We talked to him just now. He told you guys his car's feeling a little loose like he expected. He's able to power down, still coming out of that corner side by side. He's staying there with the 14. This is impressive, being able to do this on the bottom this many laps.
And all drivers on track, they're feeling that same loose sensation. And Sutherland had a major save, got loose, almost made contact with Noel. They hold steady for now. Now drivers trying to poke the nose. Cameron Sartin, as well as Brian P. Johnson. Sartin, who found himself being spun around earlier, now is in the fight inside of our top 10. It's starting to figure out where do you want to place yourself over Brian Johnson, because having a wall of two drivers side by side is tough to get by. There's almost contact there for some of the drivers up front, and as well, seeing Stitz and other drivers making their charge forward.
Yeah, we're seeing these guys back here still be 2x2. Stitz trying to make that move, get back up to the front. Back here on board with Isaiah Sutherland, he's gonna maybe clear to 28, but he's got the 77 still in front of him, who was able just to get by him and complete that pass. See, this is one problem you want to run into, Sam. You just don't want to get stuck behind cars and start beating and banging. We're seeing the 14 get maybe roughed up with Speck there by the 28, who's gotten super close on that corner.
Some drivers are feeling comfortable on some big moves and using each other up. Some still feeling a little antsy about any slight contact. If Brian B. Johnson makes some big moves, Cedric Hunter still running that apron line, and it's allowing drivers to still stay 3 wide at moments and comfortable. Danny Cochran able to move up now to 20th position, starting to figure out where did Kenny move in place. Said that he had a different line from everyone else and felt confident that it was a better line to make some big moves. Well, right now, I gotta say, the 7 looks good, but almost some contact there between Justice Murphy and Douglas Newbiggie.
Yeah, it's getting 3 wide going into that corner. Danny luckily right in front of him. We talked to him, and he was excited to get back up to the front here. And Douglas Newbiggie, we did mention him throughout the race, how he's been able to come through this field multiple times. And we see trouble. No, Brandon Cawley. Oh no, he just not able to survive this race. He's gonna keep it green, Sam. I thought the caution was gonna come out. No yellow. We saw it live.
Not sideways enough with oncoming traffic, kept it pointing straight, and the 1 is going to have to deal with that damage. Now down to 23rd position. Douglas Newbiggie moves up to 20th, but Justice Murphy struggling right now is the 20 machine as he battles with Cody Reed. Cody Reed, interesting call for the 52. Under our last yellow, decided to come to pit road. Just topped off on fuel was Cody Reed. Maybe thinking about just keeping that track position for not coming into pit road, but also thinking, if we get a couple of more yellow flags coming out, I decide to stay out on track if possible. As more contact between the 12 and the 1, and Colley goes around.
Oh no, I'm not sure. We're gonna have to watch that again in replay here. But what do you think, Sam? Was that maybe a little bit of frustration?
That was a loose 12 using Colley up to try to point himself straight. That was an unfortunate racing situation. That the 1, once again, of Colley just can't catch a break. It has been a dismal start to the season and just continues to rattle off. As take a look here on the battling between the 12 Justice Murphy, the 1 of Brandon Colley, and the big thing to watch out for, the exit of the corner. The 12 is going to see that rear end kick out, and then he's going to come sliding back down into the 1. That's contact, and once you make contact with one another, you're kind of chasing your own car. Makes the second bump, and away the 1 goes.
Yeah, what a great analysis there by you. That's exactly what happened. I missed seeing the 12 get loose that first time. Yeah, that's just unfortunate. The 1's not able to catch a break. That's 3 races in a row, and but we do have pit stops here. So Sam, you did talk about it. We're bolting tires on right now. We're going to be fresh rubbers, fill it up with fuel, and if it stays green, we should be in good shape here.
And there's a few drivers that topped off on fuel under that last yellow that want to keep track position just in case more yellow flag comes out. That's going to be Cody Reed, Trevor Earhart, Ryan Kelly going to be deciding to stay out for the 3 of them. The rest of the field, 4 tires and fuel, getting back out there on track. And Shane Tarian going to be the first driver out of pit road, but 4th currently on track. And we'll see if any of our top 3 decide to hit pit road or not, as it is just a lot of frustration for some, others strategy, and it's just a good old classic New Hampshire race, I would say here, Justin, of just cautions breeding cautions, and drivers, they're just trying to survive with the handling of a vehicle that's just mad at them.
Yeah, just trying to get out of those corners, get down a straightaway. These cars have so much power that you build up so much speed, and then you just got to get on the brakes, and you got to get the car to turn. You got to get the car not to slide into someone. There's a lot going on that these drivers are doing. They're doing a great job. It is hard. I do like the strategy for Cody Reed, getting out there, leading that lap, staying up front, and who knows if this race turns into a couple 3, 4, 5 cautions at the end, he might be in good shape just to get a top 5, top 10.
Trying to find ways to salvage out of this race. And for some drivers, salvaging is going to be a big thing. After this week, I think some drivers are ready for a new maybe place to go to. Robert, I believe we might have the schedule to look at. Upcoming races that we have for these drivers. Going to be a good one for this field as continue on the trends of just completely different course to a different course as drivers next week get to try their skills out at Watkins Glen. Gonna be the last race here covered on Freaky Fast Broadcasting for 2023. Crazy to think a whole year is done and dusted. When we come back for 2024, drivers go to Indianapolis, that of January 3rd. Then round number 6 of the season, heading to a new track that a lot of drivers still haven't purchased, going to Kern County Racing Park, short track racing. Justin, that's going to be a good one to watch.
It's going to be a great one to watch, especially in these old cars with the insane horsepower they have. I'm really excited to go to race number 8, Legacy, Michigan. I know how fun Michigan was with these cars back in the day. They were able to go around multiple grooves, all that power, fly down the straightaways, get on the brakes. True old school racing. We're going to love it and can't wait to bring it to you.
Can't wait for it. First 12 races of the season are the regular season before we head into the playoffs. So there's still plenty of time to come back. If you have a poor first 3 races of the season, you can certainly come back with a good string of races, get yourself back into the points. Well, drivers up front going with an oddball strategy. It's Cody Reed and Ryan Kelly deciding not to come into pit road. Both dealing with their own separate issues, but old tires versus new. Let's see how our front row can survive to the rest of the field as Kelly has a slight blinking issue, but Cody Reed's the lead driver, and we're back underway and already expect some major speed differences from our top 2 to the rest of the field as we find ourselves with 60 laps to go here in New Hampshire as Cody Reed exit a turn 2, still the leader, but for how long?
And we see Ryan Kelly already drop back to 4th, just went into that first corner. The car just didn't want to turn on those older tires. And we're seeing the same thing now happen to our leader, Cody Reed, who's no longer going to be the leader coming out of this corner. We're going to have a tremendous race for the top 2 positions. Shane's going to lead that lap, Sam.
Leads the lap, and Larry Ingley's still going to be fighting on the outside lane. That 67 looking quick. Ryan Kelly, Cody Reed, going to be stuck in that middle to high lane. Watch out is the big question for the rest of the field. And oh no, Brian Noel and the rest of the field piling in on the backstretch as it was just one little slip up the 77 in the front end, and they're still piling into one another off the exit of the corner.
Yeah, Isaiah Sutherland, he got hit a second time coming out of the corner. Unfortunate for him right there. 77, he had some damage there on the back end, Sam. I mean, we talked about some of these guys throughout the race. They were super fast, just unfortunately got back a little bit in track position on that pit stop, and then they got caught up in the race, in the wreck. And unfortunately, this race is getting closer to the end. It's going to be harder and harder to get up there.
And if you pit now, and you get fuel and tires, you should be good to take it to the very end of this race. As again, a lot of different situations where drivers were piling into one another late, trying to get that perfect timing for when these drivers have the incident off the exit of turn 2. And the big thing watching out is the 77. But they come into this corner, trying to make the pass on the 20, Ryan P. Johnson. Exit of the corner, and the 77 drifts up right from the nose, and that small little tap is what gets them out of hand.
And unfortunately, Cameron Starton was right there. We talked about him having that nice top 10 run going. And we're just seeing some other cars get caught up as this wreck keeps going. Unfortunately, 25, he's had a tough night.
Also there, Isaiah Sutherland getting that late hit by Mason Cassidy, who got pushed into the 14. And more drivers entering pit road to get service done and get some of that damage repaired. Well, for only driver that's officially has been sitting in pit road still getting required damage done is James Heater, who was involved in one of our first 4 cautions of the day and just has not been able to recover from that incident. Is still getting repairs done. The rest of the field, though, has been coming in periodically to get service done. We'll see driving on by the 6 machine. Brad Elf able to get the lucky dog pass for the 6 machine, but still laps down is going to be Michael Bennett. 2 laps down is the 41, but staying out on track, Shane Terry and Larry Yingling, the rest of the field. But surprisingly, I think to me, is the fact that Cody Reed and Ryan Kelly both are staying out. They're going to be restarting 4th and 5th on this next restart. That is a dangerous position for drivers that are on older tires.
Yeah, I'm really glad you mentioned that because I'm thinking too, we know it didn't work that first lap. We saw them starting to drop through the field, and that was only one lap. If this race does stay green, are they really putting themselves in a bad position? I know they don't want to pit and go back into the back, but if we do get a green run here, you know, as a driver, it's hard when you're out there on older tires and you know you're fighting an uphill battle with guys on fresher tires. You know, maybe they're waiting for another caution and they're going to go in and maybe use that strategy there. We're going to find out really soon, though. I know we're getting ready to go back green here in about 1.5 laps.
Getting ready to go back green racing, and we've had plenty of drivers fight all around this race, and you know, why not get a call with one of those drivers going with the risky call, just to get how the handling feels of Cody Reed and get his thoughts on how that 52 is feeling. He's been beaten and battered and currently going to be up front in 4th place. Let's see if we can cue up the 52 of Cody Reed. Cody, it's Sam up at the booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, Cody, you're up front, older tires than most of the field. We saw there a little bit of a struggle slowing down the entry turn 3, but man, how is this car feeling, and how are you feeling personally getting ready for this restart?
I didn't really get a good feel of the car on that start. It was kind of terrifying with all these really good guys with fresh tires around me. I should be able to hold on. I honestly would not have stayed out, but I had when I went down to get my damages repaired from my wreck with Cedric earlier, I accidentally took tires on the caution before everyone took tires, and so I just decided to stay out on this one. So I'm on like 13 lap older tires than everyone else, but we'll see how this goes.
Hey, we're excited to see how well you're going to be racing here tonight, Cody. Hopefully you can survive, and good luck on this restart.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Well, that's going to be Cody Reed getting ready for this restart. On all those older tires, it was a simple mistake. It's forcing him to have to do an audible call. I talked about that earlier on in this race, those changes you have to make on the fly, and he's going to have to hope to survive. On the outside, 2nd row is Cody Reed as we're back to green flag action. Old tires, watch out for the 3 machine. Ryan Kelly, the 52 of Cody Reed. The rest of the field at full song, and it's attack mode for Shane Terry and off the exit of turn 2.
We see a great launch for the 9. Zach Hall still going to be here side by side, but it's 67 Larry Yingling. We're going to see this could be important here. You want to be able to clear him and not use up too much tires on this inside line here. We know sliding around, you're going to heat the tires up pretty fast. So we do want to keep an eye on that. And he's going to, no, he cleared him, Sam. So all right, that worked out for him.
Big clear, big movement, but a big wreck off the exit of turn 4, and sadly is James Kaufman once again. The 25 machine back in 34th position, finding himself being spun around off the exit of turn number 4. Just another driver, unfortunately, caught up with being loose off the exit of the corner and gets himself spun around on the hook on someone's front bumper.
Yeah, we see the left front there, maybe even twisted in a little bit. That could be a couple minutes of damage. Unfortunately, he's going to have to go in and get that repaired, but really get out and log some more laps and see what he can figure out. Use it for weeks going forward.
Well, for us here at Fast Broadcasting, we have we're closing in on lap 100. So we are actually going to take one of our few, well, maybe our last commercial break. We'll see how these drivers bring out the cautions. But here are where your top 5 runners are heading into our commercial break. You've got Shane Terry leading the way, Zach Hall in 2nd, Larry Yingling in 3rd. 4th is Brian P. Johnson and Cody Reed finishing out your top 5 as we are going to take ourselves to a commercial break. When we come back, more exciting racing for the WSSR Roast to Gems Cup Series. Race number 3. It's been a chaotic one, but who's going to take the victory here in New Hampshire? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the WSSR Road to Gems Cup Series. You're watching the Season 8 coverage of these drivers here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. It's race number 3 at New Hampshire. We had plenty of wrecks here tonight. It's been a long race for a lot of the field. For some, it has been almost I'm done, call it a night type of a night, as we've seen drivers been able to recover after some incidences. Douglas Newbigging got disconnected in the first handful of laps of the race, went 3 laps down. He's now inside of the top 15. Other drivers not able to have that same luck to recover back into this race. But it's been a pleasure to give you all the coverage here again on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me up in the booth is Justin Malarkey. And Justin, 100 laps in the books. We've had lots of cautions here tonight. But man, we're getting ready for this restart. This is kind of the final push to see who's going to get the win here tonight. How are you feeling, and what do you think these drivers are feeling getting ready for this restart?
Yeah, I'm feeling we've seen a lot of restarts which have been really exciting. We've seen the front row. It seemed like every time the leader's been able to get the clear restart. But I think as these laps wind down here, Sam, someone's going to push the envelope and try and stay side by side by that leader so that they can come out the new leader. We're going to see right here if Zach Hall is going to be able to make that move.
Drivers trying to settle in. How do you feel about this restart? Also, Cody Reed, Ryan Kelly still out there on older tires, about 10-lap older tires than the rest of the field. Here we go. Pace car pulls it into the pit row, the front row, into the restart zone, and we are green at New Hampshire. With less than 50 laps to go, it's crunch time. Make some big moves, and we're already seeing some drivers further on back who try to go 3 wide, but Shane Tarian better launch and keeping himself about a half a car length ahead off the exit of turn 2. And other drivers side-by-side battling. This is back for 7th place.
Yeah, we're under 50 to go now. The intensity is going to pick up. We're seeing the 21 here right now. We talked about him throughout the race. We know he's got the speed. He's working his way back up to the field. Able to get a little loose down there, Sam. A little loose on that inside line.
There's been such a heat cycle going on at caution. Trouble in the back. And drivers scattering, and it's similar drivers that we've been seeing all night long. Just bad luck striking for James Kaufman and Isaiah Sutherland that just cannot get that magnet away from one another.
Yeah, that's unfortunate right there. The 14 was so strong throughout the race, and now he's caught up in back-to-back incidents. It's not how you want your night to go. He's 47 laps left, and he's just hoping to get through this here and hopefully survive the rest of the way.
You're going to be seeing there James Kaufman breaking loose in front of Sutherland. And Sutherland, one of those drivers that was running inside of our top 5. He's got some crazy quick speed. And when you've got a fast vehicle that feels confident and you can gas it up, you'd see that contact being made of a driver getting loose in front of you, and there's just no time to slow down. Aggressive hit, as now you got to settle it back down and resettle, restack, and go for another restart. And these restarts are going to get more and more aggressive the later these cautions build up.
They really are. We're getting down to 46 to go now. Are you going to come in and take tires? I mean, I know we only did 1 lap, but they still have those sets left. I mean, you want to be the one of the first people to put them on and hope that the race stays green, and then you're in good shape. But we're going to find out. It looks like no one's pitting right now.
No one making that turn into pit road. I think it might be that 30 lap to go window if caution builds up there. Maybe you decide to hit pit road, but difficult to make that hard decision. It's kind of been a little bit of a pace simulator, but hey, if you want to watch racing that maybe be longer than what we're seeing here tonight and not expecting to see any yellow flags being thrown, well, get excited for it. We're back to Daytona in January. Freaky Fast is proud to have our 3rd annual JDRF charity race, and this go around it's the 6 hours of Daytona endurance racing to give some of those sim race drivers a little bit of practice before the 24 hours of Daytona. 2 weeks after our charity race is done, get your 6 hours of practice, and for a great cause, as we're trying to help out the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. January 6th is the date, and if you would like to find a way to either donate or sign up to be a part of the racing action, go down to our comment section where you'll find our Discord. It's our community Discord channel where you can find more information to sign up your team, and also just find your ways to donate, share. We'd love to have as many people involved with this charity event of either being viewers, drivers, or anything else to help out with our GDRF charity event. Thank you so much to all those that have already signed up and everyone that's been participating with getting this event set up. It's been a pleasure to have, and we cannot wait for January 6th. It's just a few weeks away for some great racing action. As we get ourselves prepared for this one, drivers are trying to calm down, cool off. It's 45 laps to go here tonight in New Hampshire. And Justin, we kind of talked about it. You brought it up to me. New Hampshire is a track that sometimes feels like it can feel so much longer than what it really is. It's just a track that's a mile in length, but man, has it been feeling like a even longer race just because of how flat this surface can be and the pace laps.
Yeah, you'd think 1 mile, 150 laps, you'd think we're going to go through it fast like a traditional short track, but these laps, they're long. They're 30 seconds long. I mean, you think of a track that's a mile long, Dover. They're about 21 seconds. You know, that's almost a third less time, and then these pace laps are just so slow, and then when you get to all these cautions, it just adds to we almost are having ourselves a 6-hour race here, Sam.
It's adding up. There is a time limit for these drivers. We're not close to it at all yet, but these drivers did know if we were going to get caution every lap, the time limit would become a factor. Luckily, we're not there tonight, but they do know it's crunch time for tonight's race. And as well, if we get some late cautions with 5 laps to go in this race, we do have overtime attempts if needed, 3 in the pocket if we need overtime attempts. As field's getting ready, some of our bigger movers so far here tonight. Ross Tatum, he has been on the move, making some big moves, up 14 places from where he started, as well as Brian P. Johnson's been making a lot of big moves. But it's in the middle of the pack. Trevor Earhart up 18 positions, and Tyler Dangler back in 19th for the 19 machine. Didn't get any practice time, showed up just for the race. He's up 18 spots as well. Congratulations on the way that he's been moving forward. But it's time for us to get back to green flag action. As the pace cars into pit road, we're green, and down in turn number 1, it's side by side for second place because Shane Terrian is gone.
Yeah, and I noticed a little bit of damage there on the 28. His front a little pushed in. We're seeing that right there. If we get on board here with the 32 on the rear view, we'll be able to see a little bit more of that. But not sure where he got that damage from. Did you notice that earlier, Sam?
I mean, he's been grabbing a little bit of damage here and there. He had to work through the field, making some pretty big passes, so I'm not surprised he's been collecting somewhat of damage. Oh no! Trouble on the exit turn number 4, and Chris Stitz could not hold on, and the field is in gridlock on the front stretch.
Yeah, we saw the field pretty much disappear on that rear camera shot. Everyone had to come to a grinding halt. There is one car to 31 sitting backwards on the front straightaway there still, Sam.
Chris Stitz was the catalyst, and there was just no way that this field had a chance to try to avoid this wreck. Exit of 4, and it was one of the more violent wrecks of just overcorrecting. We haven't talked about drivers overcorrecting very often, but coming off the exit of turn 4, drivers talked about how they were getting loose. Well, we're going to be seeing it once he exits out of 4s. This is out of 2, setting up into the back stretch. The 17 was trying everything possible to make sure he didn't cause a bigger calamity, but Justin, there's sometimes when you just push the limits on trying to save a vehicle.
Yeah, it's like you mentioned, the overcorrecting with the power in these cars. You start turning, and all of a sudden you go to save it, and it just takes off on you. And we're going to see it right here when they come out of the corner. They're 3 wide right here, and sometimes 3 wide just leads to problems. And we just see them get loose, correct it, and just bounce right off that wall. And there's just nowhere to go for these drivers. And coming from the restart, they're all bunched up, and it just turns to a parking lot here.
As the field tries to slow down, turns into just a wall of drivers, and it's just better off slamming the brake, come to a stop, and let those front drivers figure out how they want to move forward before you can take off. And a scary moment and hard damage for a lot. Justice Murphy going to be coming into pit road, get service done. A lot of other drivers as well. Chris Stitz required damage. He immediately took a tow into pit road, knowing that his night was most likely over. And he was running up front. I mean, near that 11th, 12th place for Chris Stitz. And he's one of those drivers that's just outside of our top 16 in points. That's not going to be helping him gain those points on Danny Cochran after that horrific crash. And now, got 40 laps to go. Going to be less than 40 when we go back to green flag racing. And that is going to scatter the middle pack on back on that damage, on how you want to deal with getting that damage repaired.
Yeah, it's going to scatter the field for certain. Like you said, we're coming under here now, under 29 laps to go. And, I mean, we didn't see anyone go into pits yet. 40 laps to go. For some 40 laps to go. I mean, you did mention 30 laps. You're thinking maybe that's when they're going to get in the window. So we're gonna see right now. I don't see anyone coming down.
No, I'm not expecting people to come down. And if they do, it's going to be one of those things where maybe 10th on back just to have that slight advantage over the rest of the field. But if you're one of those that come into pit road and you don't have a group coming in together, you're just losing way too much time for this field. Is starting to grid up, ready to get back to racing action here tonight. And man.
Danny Cochran running 10th. We did talk to him earlier. He said he was going to get back up to the field. We know he's excited. We talked to him. He said he had a line figured out. We haven't really run enough laps for him to probably get to use that line. If this race could stay green, we keep talking about it if it can happen. Is he going to be able to get back up there? He made it to 10th. What do you think?
I mean, he certainly is going to try his best. I think he's hoping that I don't talk about him, nor does anyone else, because talk about Tyler Dangler. He was heavily involved that last wreck. Ironically, though, he actually gained positions even with being involved in that wreck. So crazy to see. Even when you get damaged, you're good to move forward. Danny Cochran's hoping for a good run. A couple of other drivers also inside of our top 10. Edward Sherwood Jr. trying to get back into the mix. And Christopher Norris, great run for the 38 at this current time. We'll see if he survives the curse as we're back to green flag racing. Shane Tarian, best launch so far as Zach Hall sends it down to the corner with his team into Brian P. Johnson. It is all your top three. Going to be from that of Carolina Reapers. Those teammates are quick, they're fast, and they're trying to hold back Larry Yingling.
Shane all night on a restart. He's had a lot of practice at him, and he's been able to key them up all good all night to be able to take that lead. 32 is just going to hang in there right behind him. Get a little loose coming out of the corner as we're seeing him then stack up 2 by 2 behind still. We do have a car in the wall, 77.
Oh, and more drivers piling in. Issues, Richard Wolsifer, Brian Noel. And there's another yellow brought into the mix. As the field was trying to not get involved with some wrecks, and looks to be not as many collisions after this one, but some contact for Noel as well for the 77 before that 56. You're going to be seeing that of Richard Wolsifer, 56 machine gets into the outside wall. Noel goes down low trying to avoid, but then gets bumped in the rear bumper. Contact, and even more taps for the duo bump.
Yeah, we had 2 accidents in one right there. We get to bring to everyone live. Just bad situation right there. The driver's just hoping to get to the end, and unfortunately just get caught up in that accident. They had good runs going throughout the race, and we're just seeing the caution start to take tolls on everyone. I mean, there might have been maybe 10 cars so far that has not had trouble. And ironically, most of them are probably running in our top 10.
Yeah, they're running in the top 10, and they're going to try to continue on staying out of trouble. Well, quick replay there. Quick little incident that's going to be scattered, and drivers going to be coming into pit road potentially here for deeper in the field. Up front, haven't shown any signs of stops. And it looks like they'll be staying out once again. Again, no signs that pit road is calling for these front runners, except for going to be Cody Reed making a stop for the 52 machine. And a couple of others thinking, hey, we'll follow in suit. Dakota Moniz following in, and this could be those drivers' final stop of the night. And they're going to be having a pretty decent, about a 15 lap of green flag racing on tire advantage over the rest of the field that's decided to stay out.
Yeah, we did talk to Cody Reed under a couple cautions ago, and I'm liking that strategy, Sam. Go in, get your tires now. I mean, if we get another caution here and 10 laps and the rest of the field goes in, he might cycle right back to the lead, and then you're talking, there's not too many laps left. He might be in a cap purse.
The only problem, though, for these drivers that just came to pit road, they're going to be in really the hot seat. They are deep in the field where all this carnage has been happening. It's been tough to make passes because we haven't been green enough to make a lot of moves. We'll see if that fresh rubber is going to enhance these drivers on making some big plays. Well, also want to give a shout out again on our sponsors. They have been incredible the last couple of seasons, and We really appreciate the fact that we have Brandon Colley's mom sponsoring qualifying results for each race. Always hoping for Colley to have a good race. Hasn't happened again here tonight, but qualifying has been an up and down roller coaster, as well as our title sponsor for the WSSR Cup Series being Roasted Gems Coffee. Talked about how they're having a giveaway on their merch for getting a hat from Roasted Gems Coffee, but remember they also have great other merch items to be grabbed and have great coffee to start your day off right. Use the promo code WSSR for 5% off. And Trophy Smack. We've talked about the fact that you can get yourself a custom trophy, ring, belt. What's the more? Well, that is your Wall Smack. Wall Smack is a metal plate that you place your custom image on. That metal plate can be placed in many different places. You can get yourself a stand that's brand new for Trophy Smack that they've been trying to get that Wall Smack onto, or you can get the original for them. That's getting their magnet safe wall placement system where you place a magnet on the wall, safely put the metal plate on, and allows you to show off your Wall Smack in its full glory. Some of the drivers here at WSSR getting their race wins and getting their winning vehicle a Wall Smack picture of so they can show it off in their house. Or you can get different images that you'd like, completely customizable to you to get your Wall Smack with. Remember, when purchasing at Trophy Smack, to use the promo code WSSR Smack to get 10% off on purchase. Justin, it is danger time. We've had these cautions kind of ballooning out at this point. But man, I'm terrified for those drivers in the middle of the field. But if you're up front, got to be feeling good for yourself on how you're going to be tackling on this restart, on where you're going to feel the most comfortable, as we're going to take another lap around of pacing.
Yeah, we're going to get one more lap here of pacing with the little delayed green so they can get the running order going. That's going to give these drivers another lap to get their anxiety built up. They know they want to get back to the racing. They want to get this race going green. These leaders probably want to see it spread out. We did see the times when they had 15, 20 lap green flag runs. We saw some nice action. We saw the top four get really close, and we just haven't had that run yet to see who had what on the long run. And right now, coming down with 31 to go, it's not going to matter anymore. It's going to be short runs, and you're going to have to gas up and go. Get these restarts and get out of there.
Get yourself prepared and ready. What went back, the OC, what delayed that restart. It looked like Richard Wolfsfer had a little bit of a slip up that was forcing the yellow having to be extended for an extra lap. So these drivers get another lap in the books, but that means there's one less lap for green flag racing that the drivers know could be very crucial as we're marching to 30 laps to go here tonight. It's been a long one. Drivers know, hey, this isn't over just yet if you're these top drivers that have been staying out of trouble, because some of these other drivers that have come into pit road, gotten service done, they could be extremely quick on how they blast their way forward with fresh rubber. We'll see how well they can do so. One of those drivers, watch out for 20th position, going to be Brian McCann. Also Danny Cochran. How well can they march through this field? Let's find out. Pace car into pit road. And we are into the restart zone and back to green flag action. Shane Tarian, one of his better launches of the night. Rest of the field. Here we go, down in turn number 1.
Shane with the great launch. He's going to leave the rest of the field to figure out who's going to run second, third, fourth, fifth. As they're staying 2 by 2, looks like Zach Hall will be the first one to clear coming out of the corner. Larry Yingling still on the inside, trying to get around Brian Johnson. Ross Tatum still hanging strong in 5th. And Christopher Norris, we talked to him earlier, sneaking up there as we got a yellow.
Trouble. And it's Ben Keeney who's going to be having issues, it looked like, because he was dropping quickly. And I think it might have been a little bit of a connection problem that spooked some drivers, and it got the field into a yellow. It's kind of a phantom yellow that came out as drivers found themselves being spun around on the entry of the corner. Trouble spiking for the 98.
Yeah, the connection issues are never fun. When I would be out there, sometimes you see these guys disappear, and then you don't know where they're going to come back, and it could just lead to a little bit of a tense moment. But luckily, we'll get right back here to green, hopefully in quick 2-3 laps, and see if we can settle this race.
Settle and prepared, and who will survive with 30 laps to go? I think we're going to take our final commercial break of the evening. When we come back, expected to take you to the very end of tonight's race. Who will fight for the win here in New Hampshire as the drivers get set for the final 30 laps. It's going to be a good one on who can survive or who is going to take that risk for the WSSR Road to Gems Cup Series. This is race 3 of the season. Will we have a new winner? Could someone become a multi-time winner already this season? We'll find out when we come back from this commercial break.
They're 5 wide behind for fifth. Oh my, the 5 wide here. This ain't gonna work. They make it last. Bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with the shot here, coming off a 4. Look at me. That's it.
It's bottom line, here it comes. Oh no, Carter gets wrecked. It's gonna be that Nick Crawford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another. Trying to drive it down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes, Cedric Hunter. He does it. He steals it.
But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck it.
Oh, they wrecked! They wrecked each other! The top two bounced into one another, just too much of side drifting off of, and they gotta be careful. Oh no, the 4 demolishes in the 28. We are green, ladies and gentlemen. Shane Terrian sending it down into turn number 1. And he is looking mighty fast for himself. We hop on board with Brian B. Johnson, trying to make himself as quick as possible. He's trying to rip the bottom 2 with this Larry Yingling that we're on board, trying to make some big moves. And the field is starting to feel that anticipation that this could be one of the final restarts of the night, or it's going to cause some more carnage. As you see the hands working, Justin, it's a handful out there, especially on the fact that these drivers have been out there on this same set for the majority of the field for almost 40 laps.
We saw the 67 grab a big handful of that tire, or that wheel, and he was able to clear though, Brian. That was impressive. He's able to drive to third. Now he's going to set his sights on these top 2. We know he has speed. Is he going to be able to make it move up there and get around these 2 in the final 24 laps? He's going to be hammering down here coming out of turn 3.
Attack mode is engaged. 25 now, making 24 laps to go. And Shane Terrian, Zach Hall, the teammates in line, trying to hold back the 3-time champ. A lot of Larry Yingling, champion of season 2, 3, and 6. Trying to go for the 4th time if possible. But drivers behind her make some big moves. Big slide, though. Going to be seeing the 7 to Douglas Newbegin sliding away. But watch out for the 2 machine, Danny Cochran, some of the freshest tires of anyone on track. And he's showing why tires are so important as he gets blocked by Ross Tatum.
Yeah, we know Danny's comfortable. We talked to him earlier. He was excited to get back up there. He did it. He's going ready to get up there to 7th. Now looking to maybe... Oh, no. We know the 71 and the 2 before had some issue. It was close there, but the 2 might clear him coming out of the corner, Sam.
trying to stay in control. As you saw the two really go wide on the inside lane, that's because he was breaking loose. Very similar deja vu moments of seeing the two in the 71 side by side. Danny's hoping that he doesn't have to clear himself off the nose of that Sherwood Jr. and almost again as the 71 breaks loose. Other hard racing up front for second place. Larry Yingling trying to make the pass for second place. He needs to make this pass quickly if he wants a chance to battle Shane for the lead.
Both of them are so hard down on the hammer on the gas. They're trying to come out. They're sliding through the corners. You can see the tire marks coming off on them, Sam. The 67, he's going to try and clear him, but the 32 doing everything they can. He makes slight contact. The 67 still right there. The 32 is going to have the momentum going down the front straightaway.
They might be friends off the track, but on the track currently they're rivals, trying to make some big moves. Larry Yingling trying to get this pass and get himself into a better position. Yin Yang Racing wanting to strike gold here tonight. And Larry Yingling wants to get the win, get that confirmation of, all right, I'm locked into the playoffs, don't have to worry about the rest of the season. But it's a 67 off the exit of the corner, big wiggle and shimmy, and just having a car length ahead over Zach Hall, who no longer can defend for now, but almost a bump on the entry, and Zach Hall knows, hey, one mistake, I could be throwing my race away or Larry's.
And one to go now. Larry's gotten around him. This is going to be a great battle here with the 9. We know Larry led laps in the beginning. Shane's been our leader for the last probably 50 or 60 laps up there with cautions, but now it's getting close to the end. They're going to be going as best as they can to try and get to these top 2 positions and settle it for the lead.
19 laps to go for Shane Terrian here tonight. The 9 got the pole. He let Larry pass him early on, had to fight and claw to get that lead position back. And for this 9 machine, trying to continue the trend that New Hampshire has brought out the last 2 times they've been here, and the only times they've ran here, get the pole, lead the most laps, and win. The 9 is close on the most laps led. He already got the pole, and the win is how he's hoping to cap off tonight's race. As Ross Tatum battling back for 6th position, he's been hunted and hounded by the 2 machine, and Danny Cochran still can't make the pass. Here comes Douglas Newbigging, the driver that was 3 laps down at one moment this race, now fighting for a chance for a top 5 finish.
3 laps down, fighting for that top 5 finish, putting on a show all night for the viewers. We've seen all the action he's been around. As he's going to send it down into that corner, he gets it to stick. He's been strong down on that inside line, and now they're going to have to deal with the 21 who's right there in front of them. There's going to be a three-way battle here.
Trying to make some big moves, and Ross Tatum, he's staying just a groove too high and allowing the 7 of Douglas Newbigging run his preferred lane. That's been down almost on the apron, and the 7 almost able to clear. Not close enough, but he'll stand nose to the quarter panel, trying to fight for this position. But we got to move up to the lead because it's underway. Shane Terry and Larry Yingling. Shane's got to defend over Larry. Larry breaks loose, and Shane holds on to the lead.
Larry does break loose. It's going to give Zach another chance to get close to him, too. Because we're going to have a great battle here. The 67 just is getting in the corner so strong. He's getting in there. You see the car breaking loose, like we mentioned, but he's able to still keep it right there with the 9 coming out.
Hold steady. Who can keep this position? Shane Terrian, he is trying to grab that win. Made it to the final 6 for a chance for a championship. Last season was one of 5 rookies that made it to fight for that championship. The driver that was a veteran was Larry Yingling that fought for that championship. They all fell shy to Benjamin Nelson at the end of the day, but this has been a great rivalry that's been starting to build up as we're watching the drivers battling back and forth between Larry Yingling, Zach Hall, Shane Terry, and our top 3 really gapping themselves away from Brian P. Johnson. But as they close in to 15, soon to be 14 laps to go, they also have some lap traffic that they're closing in on. We'll see if that lap traffic is out of the way, or can we even stay green to the end of those race?
Yeah, the way they're coming, they're going to catch that 1-lap car. That could be a chance for Larry or Zach to make a move here on the 9 and get around him, or at least get side by side.
Well, call it, it happens. Isaiah Sutherland finding himself in trouble on the front stretch, and there's the caution. And it's around that time, Justin, where, yeah, I might have to just take tires. It might be desperation time if you want to get back in the mix.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting. We know some guys did pit about 15 laps ago. Those, I would imagine, are not pitting. But if you're in the top 5, how do you give up track position? We know it's been so key all night as we see the 14 what happened to him. Just been involved in the last couple incidents. Just his night has went downhill. Unfortunately, we know he was fast, and we know he's going to be fast in the future. Hopefully he'll get everything squared away going forward.
Just a small little tap. Away you go. Sutherland is just, it's been a nightmare type of a night for the 14. As he'll settle back in 29th position and hope to recover. But man, was that battle ramping up for our top 3 on where they wanted to go. Here is the decision time. Do you pit? Do you stay out? It's going to be around 10 laps to go once we go back to green flag racing. Is it worth it? For Shane, it's not. For Larry, it is. Pit road for the 67. The majority of the field deciding to fake it out, not entering pit road as the majority of the field. I feel like that's a terrible call for a lot of drivers, but it's a mixed bag. And I think this is going to get even more fun to watch, Justin, when we go green, because it's about that of 10 drivers staying out and the rest of the field coming in for tires.
Oh, it's going to be fun. We saw it live. We saw Larry go in. I think Larry was hoping everyone else would go in with him so he could restart in the top 5 with those fresh tires. But now he's going to have to work his way through the field. Zach, there's only going to be about 10, maybe 9 laps left. I mean, how are you thinking he's going to get through the field? We know that he's going to have the fresher tires, but is he going to be able to make the moves?
Is it fresh enough tires? I think that's going to be the key big thing. Cedric Hunter at 13, dealing with heavy damage, is in 11th place. He's on 17-lap old tires compared to the 52-lap old tires that Shane and the rest of our top 8 are running with. And then we get the fall. I thought maybe it was going to be our top 10 that stayed out. No, it wasn't. It was a lot more drivers that decided to stay out. Larry Yingling is all the way back to 19th place. He's got Danny Cochran with them as well. They got a lot of work if they want to move forward. And a surprise driver inside of our top 5. Got Christopher Norris here in 4th, and directly behind him, Douglas Newbigging is in 5th place.
Right behind them, Benjamin Nelson, who we know is fast, had the penalty in the beginning. It took him all race maybe to get up here, but he's up here now, and he's going to be putting a show on for us. And we got other guys, Ed Jr., 8th, Johnny Brugg, 9th, and Brian McCann, who I believe won the championship you mentioned on Tuesday.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Douglas Newbigging has pulled off into the grass. I think he's having connection issues again. He's trying to move. He's trying to take off, but he's in a bad angle, now able to take off. That was a scary spot for the 7. When you see a driver just pull off immediately, either his internet or mechanical issues of a wheel issue. Luckily, the 7's able to take off. He's trying to get all those positions back. But a scary moment there, Justin, for the driver that we just harped on. What a great recovery he just had.
Yeah, luckily, it looks like he's going to get his spots back. I mean, he's got to get that connection issue figured out going forward, because unfortunately it burned him twice now today. Luckily, he's got the speed. So everything looks like he's going to be in good shape here. He's going to come back to 5th. He's going to be able to battle here with these top 4, and we're going to see what he has here really shortly, as we're going to get going back to green here, I believe, on the next lap.
Ross Tatum in 6th, but our front 2. Shane Terry and Zach Hull going to be your front 2 drivers at this time. Whew, here we go. Going to be 9 laps to go when we go green. The scenarios like this, majority of the drivers up front are on older tires. The first driver on close tires that maybe could fight is in 11th with Cedric Hunter. First team that just came into pit road to get tires on this current yellow, all the way back in that of 20th and 19th position. It's Larry Yingling and Danny Cochran. They got a lot of work in 9 laps to get up front, but if we get a caution with 5 or less laps to go, we're heading to overtime. Do we need overtime, or will we stay green? Here we go into the restart zone. The New Hampshire 150 is back underway. Shane Terry continues on a great restart, but it's Christopher Norris, Zach Hall side by side for 2nd place.
Yeah, the 9 got such a nice restart. Actually brought the 38 right up there with him. He's going to have a chance here to clear Zach on the outside, and we're going to see what he has. We haven't seen the 38 run up in the top 2, so will he have something different for Shane? We're going to find out really shortly, because he's got to go. Not many laps left. We're under 9 to go now.
Attack mode engaged, and Christopher Norris early gas up in contact. Norris, Zach, hold on, wager a wiggle. They're going to be 3 wide. No, Ross Tatum, Douglas Newbigging, contact between them, but they keep it straight. We're still green, 8 laps to go. The chaos is allowing Shane Tarrant just pull away. It's almost 3 wide for the battle for 2nd. Brian P. Johnson's on the fight, but they are scattering 4 wide in the middle of the field.
4 wide, 3 wide everywhere. There's still a 3 wide in the corner. Business is picking up. Everyone wants a spot. The 52 is going to go way up high, trying to get around 3 cars coming out of the corner. He's got the preferred line. Here, 3, 4 wide down the straightaway still. Oh, Sam, where are they going to go?
Cedric Hunter's fallen back with the driver that's got the freshest rubber. Now going to be creeping forward. Danny Cochran's up to 12th place. Larry Yingling has not been able to move up. And oh no, contact, spin, and it's a big one. Scattering and dropping quickly. It's going to be Benjamin Nelson into the inside pit wall. And drivers are flipped over. Oh no, trouble for Cedric Hunter.
Oh. There's action going everywhere. Cedric Hunter already towed to the pits. He knows he has damage. He's going to try and get that fixed right now. Oh, we have cars going everywhere. It looked like Larry Yingling did get through it, though. We talked about him pitting, and I think he moved up to 13th.
There were so many cars just scattering there.
We're going to bring you these.
It was first going to be Benjamin Nelson, who was the initial driver that found himself in the lead going into the grass. And then everyone else just having issues. And here, the madness. The drivers are scattering. They're trying to make some big moves, and they're going to be going into madness. But it's the driver in front of them. It's going to be the 79, Benjamin Nelson. He's going to slide, and it causes everyone to just slam on their brakes to slow down. Cedric gets spun by the 6, and then hard contact. And oh my goodness, what a violent hit with Sutherland that chips the 13 right onto his nose.
Yeah, that was the big one. We see that at Daytona Talladega, but now we see it here at Loudon, New Hampshire. And these drivers, you're getting down to the end. They want every spot. They're not willing to give any more inches. As we're going to see right here, I think the 38 even got loose coming out of the corner. Maybe that started some trouble too.
I mean, Zach Cole and Christopher Norris, they were beating banging off one another. And just Benjamin Nelson, innocent victim, gets sent into the grass. That's where we saw the official driver and then everyone else see the smoke and the chaos of the aftermath.
The aftermath chaos. I wonder if possible if we can get an onboard ride there with Benjamin Nelson and see what he saw coming out of the corner there, because that was pretty interesting.
Right on board with the 79. I mean, there's just so much happening there. It's late in the race. Drivers got fresh tires, versing new, trying to make some big moves if they can. And also hoping drivers are going to make some mistakes. And you're going to see the battling. Christopher Norris, Zach Hall. Norris goes up, down on the apron, fighting for this positioning. And then just out of nowhere, see you down into the apron, into the grass, scattering. And then Cedric Hunter, innocent victim. And then whoop, onto the roof. That's not what you want to see out of your windshield.
Your TV is not broken. That is the actual view that Cedric Hunter is seeing right now. And we see quickly tows. That was a smart thing though, Sam. Quick tow, get back as fast as you can. Hopefully get back out on track. Every second saves. You never know. Get some positions from other guys that are lapped down.
And the timing of that caution was on lap 144. Usually it's around 5 laps. We could be seeing ourselves an in-race regulation, green and white checkered before overtime. And if that's the case, it's going to be simple, but we're going to have to officially wait to see if we get this in-race green-white checkered if we're heading into overtime. Very close, again, with 5 or less laps. It's very, we know we're going into overtime, but with 6, sometimes they grace it and just push it over. But it looks like we're having an in-race, in regulation green-white checkered. So it's simple. We are going to have 2 laps to go when we go green. If we cross the line, get the white flag and 1 lap to go, it's official. This race is done. It's all about who crosses the line first. But if a caution flag comes out on this first lap, when we go back to green flag racing, we're heading into overtime where we have 3 attempts if needed. Justin, any final thoughts before we take off for this restart?
Well, final thought is, you want to survive. Hopefully no more cautions. We're going to get 3 laps here, and we're going to see. I do want to point out Johnny Brugg. I know he's fast. He hasn't been up there yet this race, not due to anything other than probably just bad timing with cautions and being involved in certain situations. But we're getting ready to go back green here. It is going to be interesting with the top 6 drivers here.
It's going to be very interesting. Danny Cochran, Larry Yingling, they're back in 12th and 13th. They need some more restart attempts. But up front, green flag is in the air. This could be the final restart of the night. Shane Tarian getting a good launch. He's going to be clear. Everyone else thinking about 2 wide, 3 wide. Cody Reed shipping it down low. They're going to be staying 3 wide, battling back for 8th place. But up front, it's all the 9 to Shane Tarian, and they're already spinning. They keep it straight somehow. We stay green, even with all the smoke. And for Shane Tarian, all he wants to see is that white flag, and then we will be seeing this race become official. Still side-by-side racing deeper in the field. They're hoping that they don't wreck or scatter into anyone else. Exit of turn 4, white flag in hand. This is your Roasted Gems white flag for Shane Tarian as they head down into turn number 1. Justin, this was it. They stay in regulation time.
Shane is seeing everything he wants. They're 2x2 behind him. Shane's got a good 2-3 car length lead as he sends it down into 3 and 4. He's got one more heavy braking corner, and he's going to see that victory flag waving really soon.
At moments, you thought Shane Tarian maybe wasn't going to be there, wasn't going to have the speed that was needed, but he got the pull. It was good enough. Exit of 4. They're smoking behind, but the 9 gets the win here tonight. Congratulations to Shane Tarian as the rest of the field still trying to find a way to cross the line because they are wrecking out of 4. But Justin, Shane Tarian got the pull, close to the most laps led, and wins the race. The trend continues here at New Hampshire.
The trend is always your friend until the trend becomes not your friend. But tonight it worked out for Shane. He dominated the restarts. He did everything he had to do. Every restart was perfect. He never went into the corner really under battle from anyone behind him, which is what you want on every restart. That's great for him. Brian Johnson, another great finish. He's the points leader we mentioned, and he's just doing really well.
Doing great to stay up front and confident. As Shane Tarian gets to enjoy this one. You didn't know if that late run was going to be close enough, and the great passes, the timing of the yellows, and Shane Tarian gets to burn it down here tonight. Enjoy the smoke show as we will step away when we come back. We're going to be talking to our top 3 and maybe a spotlight driver get their thoughts on tonight's race. It was a crazy one. It was hectic, but congratulations to Shane Tarian. We'll be back in just a few moments. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series, race number 3. It was a madhouse, but ultimately it was Shane Tarian coming away with the pole, the win, and he's got to be enjoying this one. As we head to victory lane, we bring up the 9 machine of Shane Tarian. Shane, congratulations on this win, man. How are you feeling? Because it looked like a grueler from up here in the booth.
I'm feeling good. I mean, I'll take a somewhat of a Mickey Mouse win because all the yellows, but it feels good. It's my home track. It feels nice to have a win. It's been a rough couple months. So yeah, this is great. This is awesome.
Shane, is Justin up in the booth. Nothing better than winning at your hometown track. Always got to feel great. Let's talk about next week, because tonight you were killing it on every restart. Every restart you were gapping all the cars. Now next week, I don't think there'll be any restarts at the road course. So what's in store for next week? What's going to be your strategy to continue and go back to back?
Oh, survive. There's no way I win a road course. I'm just gonna shoot for a top 10, maybe top 5 if I'm lucky. But yeah, no, the restarts are great. It helps when you have your teammates 1, 2, and 4 the entirety of those restarts. So yeah, next week I'm just gonna try and finish top 10, top 5. I don't know. I don't think I'll have the speed for a win here. I'm not too good at these cars at the road course.
I mean, Shane, looking at the pace from practice to qualifying to the race, you were third fastest during the practice. Qualifying, we looked at the trends of past races. It looked like the driver that got the pole was most likely going to win. Was that something that ever crossed your mind of, okay, I got the pole. This is most likely I've got a really good chance of winning this race here tonight?
Oh, for sure. Especially because I haven't qualified well for a very long time. And then the last time I won, I qualified, I think, second at Rockingham. So yeah, front row was key. I wasn't sure what was gonna happen when I lost the lead there to Larry, but luckily he's one of the cleanest guys out there. That when I got back underneath him, there was just hard racing and clean racing. So getting the lead and just holding it off was just what you'd have to do at this track, unfortunately.
Well, you did a great job of getting that lead back and staying up there, Shane. Congratulations on this win. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, shout, my painter, Matt Muir, painting this car. My teammates, Brian and Zach, finishing 1, 2, 3 for the team, which is awesome. I joined the team last week, and we already got 1, 2, 3. So you guys for broadcasting, and then my fiance, she actually finally got to watch me win a race. Last time she fell asleep, so she stayed awake for this one.
Well, it's a good thing that you got to see this one, Shane. Enjoy it. Congratulations and good luck next week at the Glen.
Thank you.
Well, that is going to be the 9 machine of Shane Tarian coming away with the win from victory lane. We head down to second place with the 28 of Brian P. Johnson and another teammate of the Carolina Reapers coming away in second place. I mean, Brian, what a season for yourself so far. You get the win at that of Daytona. Great finish here tonight. What is it like so far for the beginning of this season for yourself and the team after performance like you had here this evening?
Oh, well, it definitely feels great. After the win at Daytona, I knew it's like, okay, we're leaving the first race with the lead in the points. So let's try to keep it. And last week went all right, got a decent finish, and then tonight was exactly the race I needed to keep that momentum up and keep getting that points gap on the rest of the field. So points wise, it worked out great. I wish that race would have been about maybe half the time length. But a good finish is a good finish. So we'll take it. And then definitely for the team, I mean, we were communicating all throughout the race about what we need to do with the tires, what lines we need to run, what is the situation on fuel, and we really just worked together very, very well, and the 1, 2, 3 is the result.
Brian, it's Justin up here. Walk me through a couple laps prior to that when we saw the 38 and the 32. You were right behind them for that moment they had. How were you feeling at that moment, and what were you expecting when you saw the two of them make that little bit of contact? I think it was with maybe about 3 or 4 laps to go.
Uh, well, I can't say I wasn't surprised, because I kind of knew that something may was gonna happen. May was gonna happen. Something like that was possibly going to happen. Um, and then when it did happen and that caution came out, I was like, man, those guys that pitted for tires, they're making passes and that brings them closer. So hopefully that's the last one. And luckily I think it was. But yeah, it's just if something happens, you just gotta do your best to avoid it. And luckily I did. I had already gotten some damage from a car sliding up in front of me earlier, and luckily I didn't feel that damage, but definitely didn't want to damage the car anymore. But um, yeah, at the end of the race, you got to get aggressive, you get excited, but you also got to consider that uh, when you're racing another car, they got a lane and they need to be able to stay in it. So yeah, it was some hard racing. Unfortunately, it led to that incident, and then poor Ben, he got got the really raw end of the deal and didn't get a good finish. But yeah, it's just one of them things. Move on to next week.
Well, speaking of next week, Brian, Watkins Glen, next destination we're heading towards, road course. What is your confidence level taking this Gen 4 car? I know we saw it at Sonoma last season, but what are you thinking about taking this really tough vehicle to a fast road course that we're heading towards?
It's definitely going to be a handful. A little mistake is going to be a big mistake. Like there's not going to be any such thing as a small mistake. Everything's going to be a big mistake. If you miss the curbs on the bus stop, go wash too wide in the carousel. There's so many things that you could miss by just a little bit that is just going to be catastrophic for the pace, for the tires, and definitely rule number one is keep it on the pavement. Don't end up in the grass or I don't even know if they have sand traps anymore at that track. But yeah, definitely do your best to keep it on the track. And yeah, we'll see how the tires wear, what the strategy is going to be. It's going to be a lot of practice as usual for road courses. But I think there's a lot of really good road course racers in this league, and it's going to be a good race to watch.
I know we're excited for the up in the booth to see next week as well. But Brian, before we call it a night for yourself this evening, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, as always, got to thank you guys for putting on a great show as always, and getting through that one with us, and everybody that tuned in, and definitely got to thank all the drivers that showed up tonight, the admin team, and race controls. Steve Benjamin, got to thank him, and Roasted Jim's Coffee, Trophy Smack, those two partners we got. Can't do all of this without them. Definitely appreciate them, and uh, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, that will be the 28 machine of Brian P. Johnson. Congratulations on a second place finish. Enjoy it and good luck at the Glen next week.
Thank you, sir.
Well, from second place, we go down to third place to talk to the 32 machine. At moments thought maybe he had the speed, the challenge for a win, but comes away in third position. We have the 32, Zach Hall. Zach, congratulations on a top 3 finish. Man, how are you feeling after your run here this evening?
Well, wild. That was sketchy. Those last couple restarts there. I know me and 30 Christopher Norris there. We got into it a little bit. I think going back and looking at it, just probably going for the same lane on the racetrack. But man, that got a little sketchy for me for sure. I was all night just right in the top 5 riding with my teammates, and we felt good. I feel like I had the speed. I really feel like if we got a long run tonight, that was where my strong suit was going to be, especially with the tire wear I was showing. But we didn't really get those, so you got to make sure you get good restarts. And luckily, I did a few good one of those, and we were able to bring home third tonight.
Zach, Justin up here in the booth. Yeah, you did a really great job, and I was hoping to see a long run too, because I mentioned it earlier in the run. You only took 2 tires at one point, and you did not drop through the field. You held your own. I think you settled in 5th before you were able to go back in and bolt 4 on. So, is it right then and there when you knew that you had a great long run car based off of that knowledge?
Yeah, I kind of had the feeling just from how the car felt. I don't know, when it has these certain driving styles. These cars, it's just really a straight exit. That's everything you're looking for in these cars, is just getting the wheel as straight as possible, so you can get the power down to the wheels to drive you down the straightaway without lighting them up. And it was really easy to overwork that right rear tire. And I think the right foot, I think I got to do a pretty good job with my right foot of managing the right rear. So I knew personally just coming into tonight that was going to be where my strength probably lied, and it definitely seemed to be that way. So, unfortunately, we didn't, like I said, didn't get the long runs that I was hoping we get, but I kind of expected what we had tonight.
Yeah, it certainly was in the books. I think everyone was expecting something similar to what we got tonight. But Zach, still a hard race for a lot of people to survive. Expecting it to be kind of more difficult, as well as some other factors going into next week. I know that you're good at road courses. What is that confidence level, knowing that we're going to Watkins Glen next week?
The confidence is definitely high, especially coming up for 1, 2, 3 for the team. This season I really want to win that team championship. I was on the winning team last season at Snowy Desert Racing, and coming over here with Brian and Shane, I think we can get it done. I think we can beat those guys. So I want to see if I can beat my old teammates and get that championship. And I think me and Brian, two really good road course racers, have a good shot next week going into Watkins Glen. I know he's better than me, so I think my teammate Brian will be one to watch out for sure, battling for the win. But I think the top 5 night is what I'll aim for. Definitely, again, not one of my best road courses, but we'll put some work in, and we'll just see how it goes from here, because it's definitely on the upward trend for me these last 2 finishes.
Can't wait to see it. Well, Zach, before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, shout out to Shane, man. He really deserved that win tonight. I'm so glad that he pulled it off. We were all really excited that we could pull the 1, 2, 3 off and really do really good things already here for Carolina Reapers. And it's cool to have Shane in his second race with us now, already get a win. So hopefully he can keep a little bit of that up. So again, shout out to my teammates there. Shout out to league sponsors first off and foremost. Roasted Jim's Coffee. I mean, they've been with us for so long now. Shout out to those guys. Go use code WSSR at roastedjimscoffee.com and get yourself a discount there with the best coffee you can buy on the internet. And then also our amazing sponsor in TrophySmack.com, our championship provider. They've been excellent since they've joined with us, from rings to trophies. You never know, one day we might get a belt. So you never know what their endless possibilities. So make sure you head on over to TrophySmack.com. And then last but not least, shout out to you guys up in the booth for all the work you do. I know tonight was probably not the most fun up in the booth getting to watch the carnage, but hopefully next week with no yellows, that'll give you all a little shake up. But again, thank you to you guys.
Hey, thanks for giving us the great show we get to cover. Congratulations on 3rd place, and good luck next week, Zach.
Thanks, guys.
Well, that's going to be your top 3 on their thoughts on tonight's race and how they're feeling. The 1, 2, 3 for the Carolina Reapers team. Certainly a lot of speed that they're going to try to carry forward into the rest of the season. It's going to be a fun one to watch out for. But for tonight, let's take a look at what our unofficial results look like. It was a lot of wrecks, 17 in total, but Shane Tarian continues the trend at that of New Hampshire, which is get the pole, lead the most laps, and win the race. As the 3 times the WSSR has been here, that trend continues on again. As taking the win, Shane Tarian in the 9 machine with Brian P. Johnson in second. Third is Zach Hall. Johnny Brugg, a great finish for the 20 machine. One of those drivers that took a little bit of a later pit stop on the tires, and it worked out great for the 20 to get a top 5 finish. Douglas Newbigging was 3 laps down at the start of the race and finished with a top 5. What a recovery run for the 7. Brian McCann also caught up to some early trouble. Able to finish with the 6. Christopher Norris fell back to 7th, but he had a great run into the top 10. Edward Sherwood Jr. got a lot of damage off that front nose, but comes away with an 8th place finish. Cameron Sargent 9th, and finishing out our top 10 going to be Larry Yingling. But I know we look through the rest of the field here, Justin. There's a lot of people that are really hoping that maybe they would find themselves with a better finish, but it's so hard when there's so many drivers out there on track at a mile course in New Hampshire.
Yeah, so many drivers out there. Do want to mention the 11th place driver, though, right outside looking in on that top 10, Cody Reed. We talked to him throughout the halfway through the race. He was on a little bit of different strategy. He made it work on those older tires, stayed up in the field and pitted at the right time. And we did actually talk to the 16th place finishing driver, also Danny Cochran, who was excited to get back up there. He did get back in the top 10 briefly, but ended up coming back home in 16th. And then we see some other drivers like Brad Delph. We know he was caught up in some earlier accidents, but recovering for an 18th, which was nice for him. And Ross Tatum, he unfortunately dropped to 20th. I know he was running up there, but just did not work with the way. And we see down there in 31st, Anthony Gaudio. We mentioned him, and Brandon Cawley. Just 3 races in a row with unfortunate incidents. And then the 33rd place, Isaiah Sutherland. He was really fast in the beginning of the race, and unfortunately just got caught up in incidents. And once he got caught up in incidents, Sam, seemed like he was in every one from here on out. And then we got James Heater running out 37th.
37 drivers took the green. I mean, it was one of those things, Justin, where it just felt like it was a magnet. Like you said, once you get caught up in a mess, they just weren't able to get away from it and constantly finding themselves with issues. Well, talked about it on the schedule earlier. Let's take another look at it. We got hell hot with great racing coming forward for the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series. Watkins Glen, next track, road course racing, our first road course of the season. And drivers, a lot of unknowns on what they're going to be feeling at that course. Then they head to Indianapolis in the new year. Kern County's Raceway Park, going to be race number 6. Las Vegas, always a great racetrack for the WSSR in past history. We'll see if that carries over the trend. And then, like I said, one of your tracks you had circled up, Justin, Legacy, Michigan, going to be one of the later races in January.
Yeah, we got a great stretch of races coming up. It's going to be exciting. We've seen the first 3 races give us a little bit of everything. Texas, we saw the fuel strategy. Tonight, we saw some cautions. Next week, we know there won't be any cautions, so going to be really fun to get on the twisting turns of the New York Watkins Glen track. And we got that new one coming up, Kern County. But I'm excited to go down to Atlanta, Darlington, Iowa, which we know NASCAR's going there next year, so it's going to be interesting to see these drivers get out there. And then that last race, Kansas, always one of my favorite tracks, multi-lane track.
It's going to be a good one for sure, especially with the new dynamic racing service that iRacing is slowly trying to work on their phases as they continue on with updates throughout the year. We do want to do our last final shout outs of the sponsors. We heard all the drivers saying it as well. The shout outs to Roasted Gems Coffee. Remember to go get your blend of great coffee to wake up your day on the right side with quality. Go to roastedgems.com and use the promo code WSSR for 5% off. And as well, Trophy Smack. Go get your Trophy Smack belts as well, and more from TrophySmack.com. Remember to use promo code WSSR SMACK for 10% off. Well, this is how this week just went down last night. We got to see Brian McCann grab the championship for the Full Send Racing Series. We have been informed that we will not be back for Season 6, sadly, for that league, as they're going to be taking a season off from having it being broadcast, as they're trying a different venture for themselves. But it's been a pleasure to be covering the Full Send Racing Series on Tuesdays. Hopefully, we see our futures merge back together. But tonight, what a race it was, as we got to see that of Shane Terrian into victory lane. Next week, same time, going to be at Watkins Glen. Who's going to wake up with the win? Who's going to be the road course specialist? There's some drivers that are hoping for a rebound. I know Douglas Newbigging, a favorite driver, going for a run. But for tonight, Justin, an incredible race. Any final thoughts before we call it a conclusion here tonight?
Well, next week, like you said, is going to be really fun. Tonight we had the cautions, we had the longer race, but next week, no cautions. If you make a mistake next week, you don't have the caution to give you a chance to get back in. So you're going to have to stay on track next week, and can't wait to bring it to you. 7 days. Get ready, folks. It's going to be a great one.
Going to be the last race of 2023. You don't want to miss it next week here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting for the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series. But for tonight, thank you so much for joining with us at New Hampshire. I know it was a longer one. There was a lot of wrecks, but a great finish to see Shane Terrian into victory lane. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Justin Malarkey, Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you so much for joining with us. Now, hopefully we see you next week, and if we don't, hopefully we'll see you in the new year. Have a great rest of your night, as next week we head to Watkins Glen, road course racing, left, right, and who's going to go center? We'll find out then on our next Freaky Fast broadcast.